as the monster looks over. It's one mission: deal karma.
Karma's got you good, karma's got you beat. It's okay, I don't care if it come from me.
The monster isn't concerned with any championship storylines or who's favored, but it's more enthralled by the idea of turning a season around in either direction. So far, one driver wavered by its wrath. Race control will take Moreno's win away, has convinced it to share its good graces. For the third straight time, Moreno wins from Pocono. As for ones that once benefited by its generosity, they now search to win back its trust. Oh, spinner off turn 4, Lawson Peel.
If you know, I've been through it.
The monster is still out there to complete its task, immovable. But it's up to the drivers to find out where that karma will take them.
If I do it right, then I can end the cycle here tonight because I saw the light.
Who can I call when it's just me? Yeah. Someone set me free.
Karma will be dealt. 4 Wide Racing from Dover, next. Karma's a very powerful thing tonight. It could deal the hands of a winning driver, could be the hands of a losing driver that it deals in various ways. Dover Motor Speedway, the newest site of 4 Wide Racing action, and welcome to the Thousand Islands Correct pre-race show as we get ready for the 10th race in the Season 8 4 Wide Racing TJ's Team Series from the Monster Mile and Dover Motor Speedway. Glad that you're with us on the KBueno Racing Network, where alongside Francisco Bacallao and Keelan Belsha, I am Kenneth Bueno. We'll have our pit road reporter Charlie Byer join us later on in the show. But it's going to be a good one, Francisco. We're back at a short track, the Miler in Dover, Delaware. The Monster Mile, so unique in its own build and the way it handles as a race car driver. It's going to be a bad, fast race, and one that surely can give us a new surprise in a season dominated by one driver only.
The Monster Mile is a driver's racetrack per se, Kenneth. Historically, we've seen a lot of skill gap here at Dover. It's just one of the more difficult tracks all around on the schedule, where there's the racetrack entering pit road. You are never level here unless you're sitting in your pit stall. So it's a roller coaster ride for these drivers all day.
And Keelan, as we progress into this season, Dover's going to play a pretty big role. We go into this race with several events to go until the end of the midway portion of this regular season. We're getting close to All-Star Racing time. Homestead is coming across the corner. We've got a short track, a super speedway, and a 1.5 miles. It's hard to say that someone could be the driver that stands out amongst the most. It's going to come down to the specialists to see what they can do. Obviously, that main goal, stopping Ethan Fonseca Moreno from winning a 4th straight race.
Yeah, we've talked about it all season, every week so far, Kenneth, that the show has been very different week in, week out. As we look at the schedule, we have had so many different races, nothing really the same back to back to back. And yet, through all of that, we have had the same guy, and Ethan Fonseca Moreno, being pretty dominant. So I go to a track at Dover where he crossed the checkered flag line first at one point, and also Talladega that he won at last year. So we have some tracks in his wheelhouse, and I wonder if the dominance is going to stop. It's going to be tough for these guys to beat him with how good he has been.
That big question mark, do the dominoes fall? The dominoes being KBueno Racing and Moreno, given how good they've been all season. It's not only been Moreno's part in the role that has allowed for this level of dominance. The team itself has really gotten on the back of this 92 car alongside Jaden Porter and Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. They've been able to win several races here in the early edition of Season 8 in 2025. Well, let's rewind the clock. Let's give you the update on what happened last week if you weren't there to join us at the Tricky Triangle, the Pocono Raceway, which hosted the 9th race of the season. And it was an early jump by you, Francisco, and a lot of others, but like you behind the wheel and like us in the broadcast booth, the idea was simple from the beginning. It was chaos-filled, lots of cautions. There were the Murray Reedy Motorsports teammates involved, Tristan Bailey and Tyler Murray getting stuffed up in turn 1, and that would be basically the omen for the rest of the early run. Dusty Applin going around in turn 1 as well.
Yeah, and there's a lot of those early cautions that really played into the strategy calls that were made after this point, and we saw a good split of most of the field. I decided to go with staying out for that track position, seeing as though there were plenty of wrecks here after taking the lead from Nicholas Bauman, and eventually there it is. There was that split, and I wasn't too sure. That was similar to Indianapolis on that day, but I decided, hey, we've seen a lot of yellow flags. I think we could continue to see them, and it looked like right on here with this trouble for Bauman that it might have been true, but this is the last caution we saw until about 4 laps to go.
And there's Daytona winner Michael Walls, hard hit to the outside wall. He would be involved. His race would be over from there. Well, Francisco, you were talking about the strategy. This is exactly what you were mentioning. You and Moreno coming down pit road. Keelan, we had 3 distinct strategies over the course of the long green flag run. There was Moreno and Bacalhau pitting earliest, then Andretti Robinson, the rookie, and Jaden Porter, the seasoned veteran, coming down later, and then the battle for the net race lead, which would be eventually seeing Lawson Peel, Steven Maggio, as there's Bacalhau and Maggio fighting for what will be the net race lead, and they got real physical in turn 1.
And we thought for a good portion towards the end of this race, this would be the battle for the race win. We did not think Jaden Porter or Andretti Robinson could make it to the green, the checkered, I'm sorry. Jaden eventually came down pit road, and we started to get into a closing stretch of laps. We were under 10 to go at this point. Andretti Robinson in the lead, but trouble out back between Craig Lautensager, Jaden Porter, Craig Parks, all getting into it on the front straightaway would bring us some late race restarts where different strategies had to be pulled, and it pulled almost everybody down pit road. Steven Maggio stayed out, and he was going to try it, got out front, but this restart would not stay green long enough. Maggio had to come down, and it would give us another overtime look.
It was the iRacing version of a reality TV show. Maggio and company coming down pit road, Moreno leading the charge, and then final lap scuffle at the exit of turn 3. Lawson Peel getting into Bacalhau and Nicholas Bauman, sending them spinning. The yellow would not come out. The white flag would come out instead, and Moreno saving on fumes to the line by 51 thousandths of a second. His 3rd straight victory of Season 8 and 4th overall. Francisco, he has been on a tear. No one has been able to stop this driver in his tracks, and it was close. Almost could have been defeated at Pocono, but instead stands tall. And here's where we stand. A driver that's won 3 straight. It's the 3rd time that it's ever happened in season history. And look at what we have. Usually it ends up well for those who have done it before. Could happen to Moreno to be a championship contender for title number 2.
Yeah, early days here in Season 8, Kenneth, it looks like he's definitely the consensus title favorite. Just has ran really well, has really finished well, even despite when he's not winning, which hasn't been that frequently. Apart from that Auto Club race, it's just been top 10s after top 10s for this 92 machine when he isn't picking up those checkered flags. So still a long way to go in this season. We'll have to see if he's able to keep up that momentum going, and we'll see who is able to mount a challenge for him in the next couple of races. I feel like I did a decent job in the races I've done, but I'm not running full time. I'm not racing for a championship. It's going to be up to one of these other drivers to really mount a task and try to take it to the top.
Well, you've watched on as one of your team drivers is starting to put it on so far. Of course, last time it happened last season, Brandon Hawken, the Canadian, getting it done for not stonks, but still kind of stonks racing. Obviously, his dominant season, including the 3 straight, would end up in a championship at Homestead, Miami. So Moreno with the early season success. Could it still pan out in the next course of the season? We'll see. And whether it transfers to the playoffs is obviously a big question mark, but usually ends up well, the trending favor for those who end up doing such a feat. Well, as we enter Dover, Delaware, and this Dover Motor Speedway, last week we covered Nicholas Bauman's trip to his home track. This time we cover a Delaware native, and it's league owner Tyler Murray, who several weeks ago gave us his thoughts on the season, his thoughts on if he can win a championship, and lots of other details in our segment with the league owner, Tyler Murray.
I'm Tyler Murray. This is my 8th season in 4-wide racing.
Where do I begin? Does it ever end?
Every year that you go into an off season, as you get older, you kind of look at things. You look at your life as a whole perspective and the amount of time that you have to be able to devote to hobbies and activities, things like that. So the guys wouldn't let it happen. A lot of the admins stepped up and took on advanced roles for this season. Other aspects, all the new drivers, it makes it a fun challenge for me and gives me a little bit more motivation to keep it going.
Isn't like you to be so good.
I had gone to the mall with Austin Reedy on Black Friday, like we always do. We always go there and try to get deals right before Christmas. And I was going to open up a Best Buy credit card to go and get that computer. I called my parents, let them know I was going to do that. So they actually came up there the next day with us, and we bought the PC. And first thing I did was I was like, I want to get iRacing because I've always been into graphic design and doing paint jobs and things on cars.
What can you tell me about the Tyler Don't Give an F tour?
Oh God. Oh man, I did that whole elaborate scheme, made a paint scheme, told everybody I don't care anymore. I'm driving everybody like crap. Went out there and did absolutely nothing. I went out there and laid probably the fattest goose egg of my career. That was probably the most overhyped 20th place run I've ever had in my life those following races. My big goal is just to get back in victory lane. It's a feeling that's unlike any other, especially when you're driving with guys that you consider to be so much better than you. The championship, that would change everything, man. I don't even know how I would react to a championship.
Good talking to the league owner a couple of weeks ago and gave him a lot of stuff to talk about. Obviously, a lot of slack for some of the things that we have happened to see over the last course of the seasons in four-wide history, and a little bit of banter between himself and I about Delaware versus FIU. That really didn't handle well in terms of how the Panthers performed. It's something that I kind of regret, and I cannot talk smack about for the rest of my days. But we bring in the league owner, Tyler Murray, as he sets for what could be another league win here in four-wide history. And Tyler, I know that we talked to Nicholas Bauman last week. He was excited to go to Pocono right at his home track. This is your home venue. You've been here in real life several times before. You're here in the sim tonight. What are the overall thoughts as you strap in and get ready for this race?
No, anytime you come to a home track like this, it has a little bit of a special meaning. You see all the local sponsors on the inside wall and things like that. And those are all places that you've been, you grew up around. And it's really cool to be in something that's so well scanned and so well done to somewhere that you've been coming to since you were 4 years old and haven't missed a race. 20-something years haven't missed a race. So it's a cool experience. Obviously, I wish I had a little bit of a better home track, but it's still my home track. Still a blast to come watch races here, and it's going to be a really good time to be able to turn some laps here in the simulator.
So you've had several starts here in four-wide history since you've obviously been the league owner. You've been in control of this campaign for a little while now. You have back-to-back fifth-place finishes, but that was back in the Gen 6 era. Those were the early races here at Dover. It's been a little while since that era, different level of competition, and a different Tyler Murray. So what is it going to take for you to step out in this race, perform as well as you can, and give yourself a shot at the victory?
Dover's always been a track that hasn't really played to my strengths once the competition started getting better. Obviously, like you said, I had the 2 top 5s, which was huge. I had a teammate win one of those races, which was super fun. But you would think all the times that I've seen cars on this track, I've probably watched 10,000 laps at Dover in person, that I would learn how to drive the track. But there's just something about it. It really chews the tires up and can slide up really bad. That's just something that I'm not strong with, is the tire save. So that's definitely going to be the goal tonight. Not just start bombing past people and trying to get track position. It's going to start with a good qualifying effort and trying to hold on to those tires longer than everybody else can and making up the positions on the back end of runs. I think I could do it. I did it a couple weeks ago at I can't remember off the top of my head what track I did it at, where I was really saving tires well. I think it was Auto Club, and I really feel like I'm turning a corner being able to do that now. So as long as we can keep this thing green for a little bit and maybe make a cycle, I think I have a good shot to probably place in the top 15, top 10 of this field. Just hope we don't make green flag pit stops. I've tried to get onto pit road 4 or 5 different times here, and I've hit the barrels about 75% of the time. So hopefully no green flag stops.
And that may be a bit of foreshadowing to our KBueno moment in time. We'll touch on those details a little bit later. But Tyler, you've taken on Dover many times in the sim, but you've also seen this track in real life. This is your home track in Delaware. and you and a couple of other 4-wide guys met up. If you look at the feed, this is Austin Reedy, CJ Munier, that's you, Tyler, in the middle, and then Kyle Benson, good friend, all the way on the right. What can you tell us about this meetup that happened earlier this year?
So yeah, that was actually a really cool thing to have happen. You know, you always love meeting up with the guys that you become friends with on the track and in the simulator. But Austin and I, we've gone to every single Dover race together, whatever series, for probably the past 10 years, ever since we were able to drive. But then obviously Kyle was working for Venturini Motorsports, and his team was bringing him out to Dover, so we got him a hotel room with some of Reedy's frequent flyer miles that he has, and we got him out for Friday night and Saturday night. We got him a hotel, and he came out, and we went to the ARCA race all together. That was actually Friday night. Kyle went to the race instead of working for the team, and CJ texted me because we've met CJ in previous years at Dover. Austin and I have, and he was actually getting married in a few weeks after the Dover race, so he was coming out in an RV for a bachelor's party. So that's where we wound up meeting up with him. All three of us went out there. We partied until the wee hours of the night and stumbled our way home.
I want to look at this again because we got to do a drip check, guys. Look at this. I mean, what do y'all think? Keelan, Francisco, Charlie? I think CJ's fit goes pretty hard. He's a New Jersey Red Devils fan. That's pretty on par for CJ. But Austin Reedy, I don't know. I mean, he's got the Allgaier shirt, but he had the Carco shorts. I don't know if that's a good fit.
I like the neon.
I'll give Kyle Benson some points for the Tom and Jerry shirt. Excellent show.
I'm most disappointed in Tyler's plain white shirt. Like, he's not even excited to be there. What's up with that,
there are no
Tyler?
graphics on that shirt, Tyler, are there?
No, there is. There's graphics on that shirt. It's a local company of ours that does souped up golf carts. I had one of their t-shirts on, and the reason that I didn't wear anything super nice is because that's actually my second shirt of the day. It was probably about 110 degrees out of Dover this year because some brainiac scheduled it for the middle of summer. And if you zoom in on Kyle there, you can see how hot it was with all the sweat.
I think you could see it there.
Yeah, he was wearing long Dickies work pants, and I thought he was going to pass out in the grandstands. It was such a hot day. Saturday was the worst. Saturday was probably the worst experience at a racetrack I've ever had in my life. It was so hot. We didn't even bring beer into the grandstands. We brought a cooler full of water. But still, being able to meet up with CJ and a couple of the other guys that used to run this league was definitely a fun experience. We met up with his dad, Chuck, who's a veteran of this series. He ran here probably, I think, season 2 and 3. And Brian and Anthony Wright, father-son duo, that ran here before. So that was definitely a lot of fun getting to meet up with those guys and hang out with those guys, even though the racing was Dover racing and was super, super hot. It was brutal.
Well, I don't know if that heat's going to get any better now that it's going to be the All-Star race next year, and that's going to be the only date that it has. So best of luck to you and the rest of the guys that end up going to Dover next year, because that's going to be a tough challenge. I'm not going to lie.
So, go ahead. Sorry.
Was that rain towards the end of the race? Was that a hot rain, or was that refreshing?
During the Cup race, it was actually really refreshing. It was raining all morning before the Cup race, and then it cleared up and we got some racing in the rain that came towards the end. Reedy and I actually went home and we wound up watching the end of the race at my house on the TV. But Saturday morning during the Xfinity series, it rained all morning. We were in the casino gambling away. Kyle lost his last $100, and we went back out there. The humidity just killed Saturday. Saturday was terrible, but I hinted to Kenneth when I was talking to him before the race and the broadcast started tonight that I know what will fix Dover, and it's a very simple fix because they already have them for the horse track on the inside of the track, and that is lights. We need lights at Dover. You make Dover a night race, it becomes a top 10 race every year.
Hey, I'm gonna be all for that. I mean, Talladega, we ran KBueno Truck Series qualifying at the night without any lights at Talladega. Thank you, Francisco. But that was, if Dover gets lights, that'd be pretty cool. If Talladega can get lights too, that'd be awesome. Maybe put the rest of the schedule on lights that already don't have them. Michigan could be included in that too.
Every track should have lights. There should be no daylight shortened races.
All right, Tyler. Well, we really do appreciate the time. We'll let you get ready for qualifying in a couple minutes, but we appreciate the time. Thank you for joining us, and best of luck as you take on the home track.
I appreciate you guys. You guys have a good broadcast.
That's Tyler Murray, the league owner. He's done so much for this league, and here at Dover Motor Speedway trying to get a hometown victory. He had a pair of 5th place finishes in the first 2 events here in 4-wide history, seasons 1 and 2, but of course that was many years ago, back in the Gen 6 era of this series. We've got next-gen cars now, a brand new track surface, a brand new track look, lots of different changes in the field, so many a thing that we could see change over the course of the next few hours when we take on this race and whether Tyler will have a shot at the victory or not. Well, Dover Motor Speedway is no stranger to heat, especially when the pressure is on. We've seen many a playoff race here. It was a big proponent of the Season 6 championship in which Moreno had thought he won. The win was stolen away at the end. Jaden Porter ended up capturing the victory officially, but several years ago, the playoffs were held here at Dover for the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series, and it was one that one of our good friends had a lovely time retelling. Cole Williams winning in our KBueno moment in time. Welcome to today's KBueno Moment in Time. For this moment, we dive to a 2021 playoff race of the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series. It'll be Kevin White, Parker White, the 2 whites on the front row will take the green flag, and we are playoff racing from Dover. This playoff race was one with many implications, involving drivers Parker White, Blaze McKinney, and Cole Williams at the front of the field early. It seemed as though this race would stay green, and it did so, with that blue number 82 Toyota Camry moving his way to the front. Midway, McKinney would make a large mistake on pit road, sending him out of the race, which blew the door wide open for the win. Williams would be able to save until lap 55, exactly at the midway point, to lead, while the others had to pit one more time before the race was over. As White and the rest of the company made their trip down pit road, Williams was left to take the lead and grab the victory in one of the few flag-to-flag affairs in Bundren Lawn Care Series history. This was Williams' 2nd career Bundren Lawn Care Series victory, and one that came at the right time, fueling a championship run. And that's today's KBueno Moment in Time. Funnily enough, Keelan Belshaw, we were actually showing the GIF of the Phoenix Suns where Cole Williams, our good friend, was actually in the stands for that, and he's actually in that GIF of Kelly Oubre celebrating with the rest of the Suns squad. But great moment in time there from Dover Motor Speedway, a race that was kind of almost forgotten in a really good iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series season, but in Cole Williams' case, that was the perfect race. Flag to flag, a strategy call that got him exactly halfway, and then he just rallied it off until the end while the rest of the field came down. Really good moment from about 4 years ago, 2021.
It was a good season, Kenneth, and the first season before that is the one that I remember a little more fondly because the EO Media Racing fallout towards the end of 2020. So I don't think I really raced much in 2021, but I followed, and there was that rivalry that we had going on all season long between Cole and Parker and Blaze McKinney, Aaron Mulrooney, all of those guys going at it. That was prime Bundren Lawn Care days.
Those are the early days of the KBueno Racing Network, and if you've been watching our channel since the beginning in 2020, apart from the Trexco iRacing League, the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series was really the first big-time consistent league that we had covered early in those days with Glenn Bundren and Blaze McKinney holding the fort down for several of those years. So really cool to go back in that time and relive that moment when Cole Williams had drugged the field down on a long green flag run, won that race, and put himself in prime contention to win that iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series championship that year. Dover's a lot of fun, and it's one where you can put any car on it and it will be difficult to drive, and that's why in today's rapid fire segment we asked the drivers what car they would like to run. If not the next gen, the answers will kind of surprise you.
Probably the Xfinity car again, but Truck's with a very close second.
Truck. The Xfinity car. I think the truck is more like a lower level car. Xfinity, I think, can be just as high of a level as the next gen, and it's a lot of fun.
I would either want to run the Xfinity car or the O'Reilly Cup Series car, which it'll be this time next year, or the Gen 6 Cup car. I don't know why I love that car, even with its 550 package.
I guess for fun, Gen 4 would be kind of fun, I think. I haven't really ran much of it. The new one they just released, not the other one. But yeah, I think that'd be fun. That one, or I'm biased. I love the Cars Tour car. I love doing like short track stuff like that. So I'd love to do the Cars Tour series. I think that'd be a lot of fun. We might have a lot of yellows, but I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Xfinity, 100%. Talent matters then.
Not really always, but since they came out with it, I really want to run the Gen 4 car again. It looks super fun, high horsepower, no grip, looks like a lot of fun to me.
Oh man, serious answer, Gen 4, not serious, mini stock. Love the mini stock.
Interesting choices from the drivers, but I wouldn't say I disagree with a lot of them. I will disagree with Alex Schumacher. The mini stocks, that's a great car, but I don't know if it'll ever be used in 4-wide competition. Francisco, if we couldn't run the next gen car, what car would you prefer to see?
All right, so I would like to see on iRacing in some form or fashion an open wheel series, whether it's oval road, a Formula 1 car, an Indy car, or even a sports car series, primarily based out of North America, since a lot of them tend to be European and they run out of later times. But for 4-wide's sake, Kenneth, I've always been a B car guy. The Xfinity car's always been really solid. I honestly would have ran Season 6 full-time if I had a competent computer at the time. So if we ever got the B car again, I would certainly like to run it.
All right, Keelan, what do you think?
I think if you're trying to run a stock car series on some of these big old NASCAR tracks, it's got to be one of the top 3 cars. So outside of the next gen, I would lean towards the Xfinity car as well. I like the idea of the Gen 4, but I feel like that would turn a select handful of people, off about the idea of it. But I do like the idea of a Gen 4, but I think the happy medium between a next-gen car and a Gen 4 would probably be the Xfinity car. That's probably what I would lean towards.
Honestly, the biggest answers given from the driver base was either Xfinity car or Gen 4 car, so I like that answer. Charlie, what do you think?
I'm going to go against everyone here, and I might be biased. I have a lot of fun in this car, but it's not necessarily a car. I'd like to go with the truck. I think trucks at Dover are a lot of fun for me, at least. It's close quarters racing and a car that doesn't have a lot of horsepower, but you're able to push it quite a bit off these corners. So I think if you put a truck on here, it's going to put on a great show.
Not bad. And honestly, on Monday nights with what we have with the KBueno Truck Series, if you've been watching along with that opening season, there's plenty of excitement when the trucks go at anywhere, especially these short tracks that are pretty hard to drive on those Goodyear Eagles that are much bigger than the next-gen cars we have here in 2025. Well, that'll do it for our 1000 Islands Grand pre-race show. Thank you so much for watching our coverage. But right on the other side, we go racing for the 10th time in the Season 8 4-wide racing TJ's Team Series from the Monster Mile. Don't go anywhere.
Let's go racing!
Welcome to the Thousand Islands Cruette in Clayton, New York. We're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Come in for a tasting and our helpful and knowledgeable staff will help you find the perfect olive oils or vinegars to add that perfect touch to your next meal. We have monthly specials and sales, as well as new pairings and recipes, so there's always something new to try when you visit. The Thousand Islands Cruette on James Street in Clayton. And don't forget, hey, no touchy the tankies.
There's only one fuel that can drive the performance you demand from your car. New 94 Octane, the highest octane on the market, only at Sunoco.
Hey, Francisco, what's up? Yo, what's up, Kenneth? How's it going, man? How are you? Good. How you been? What you got in the bag, man?
I got a panini. I have a hoagie. I got it all through the Wall Rewards app.
You can order it all through the app?
You can order it all through the app.
I can order it all through the app. The world is my oyster. By placing your order on the Wawa app, you can pick up at any time with ultimate satisfaction. Gotta have a Wawa.
That's my bonus for my quota. Boy, don't nobody own. I just get a check in the jail with the set. All we do is rap. Ain't worried about next. I'm just making plays, Broadway in the flesh. On us, this right here in the corner.
The reach for double digits marks the turn to the final few races before the midway point of the regular season. And it's live from the Monster Mile, where the KBueno Racing Network welcomes you to coverage of the 10th race in the Season 8 4-Wide Racing TJ's Team Series and its 6th ever trip to the Dover Motor Speedway. Always happy that you're joining us on these Wednesday nights as this 4-wide season continues to unravel, where alongside Francisco Bacalhau and Keelan Belsha, I am Kenneth Bueno. We'll be joined by our pit road reporter, Charlie Byer, in just a few moments. Francisco, we had a short track affair earlier this season at Richmond. That was surely a chaotic one that was won by the driver who's been dominating the headlines in 4-wide so far. Ethan Fonseca Moreno has been on a run. 3 race victories in a row, 4 total, a chance for a 4th historic straight if he can get it at a track where he's probably looking for some vengeance after the win was taken from him just 2 seasons ago.
It's Ethan Fonseca Moreno's season in 4-wide right now. With those 3 straight wins he's captured on 3 completely different types of racetracks, and he's just been the driver to beat every time we show up to these racetracks. So tonight you could expect that 92 to be up front, competitive for the win here tonight, and we'll see if he's able to either be the first driver to ever win 4 races in a row, or if someone's going to end that streak, and more importantly, end BBR's streak.
And like we talked about in our Thousand Islands Career pre-race show, Keelan, a driver who wins 3 races in a row in a certain campaign, they usually have a good track record. Second in the championship for Colin Forster back in Season 3 when he opened the season with 3 straight dubs, and Brandon Hawken when he did it last year, en route to 9 race victories that ended with that title shot at Homestead of Miami, to which he captured and ultimately would be his first and only 4-wide racing championship. But we step into a very fun Dover Motor Speedway that is known to take no prisoners and one of the several concrete tracks on the schedule.
That's one of my favorite to drive here on the iRacing sim, and the way it kind of is like a roller coaster. The way you're driving it, it feels like you're never really in control of the path you're on, with how much banking is down on these corners and how banked the straightaways are. It never feels like you're completely level, and we'll see it here on the onboard lap here. It'll give you a perfect view of it. You dive down into this banking and it's going to catch you. You got to rip that bottom all the way around, and then you come up off this banking and it's kind of a rough transition to a 9-degree bank straightaway that can really upset your race car. If you're too happy on the gas pedal or your steering is not perfectly straight, you can really get upset off these corners, and that is where we will see a lot of yellows here tonight. Is coming off of these corners, getting into one of your competitors, or just losing it on your own. It is a big challenge that all these guys are going to have to face tonight.
And one of the largest points of conversation, Francisco, is tire wear. Dover is not kind to Goodyear Eagles. It's never been, quite frankly, but in an next-gen era in which this iRacing update has allowed for further tire wear and possibilities for tires to blow, if we get a long run green enough, and this race continues to push forward, we may have drivers with meatball flags. Possible chance for drivers to blow tires could give us a very good talking point. Maybe one that the drivers wouldn't want to hear, but one that we'll be talking about regardless.
Yeah, we saw when the first next-gen update came out back in June, that one of the biggest notes was tire wear at Dover was extremely high. Yes, not just the actual fall off, but the actual percentage of wear, which is the biggest topic of concern. You get long enough into a run here and you don't take care of your tires, which will, for relatively speaking, will be most of the field, you probably will blow them before you ever have to bring it down pit road. We saw that in the Coke series here when they ran here, when you were on that coverage, Kenneth, and it was awfully chaotic seeing that happen, and that's the kind of things we can see here tonight, but it takes extreme care to really manage them all the way down to your green flag pit stop should we get that point.
We've had 5 total Dover races in series history before tonight. That leaves us with 4 different winners. The only driver that has multiple dubs here at the Monster Mile, Jaden Porter, who's won at other concrete ovals, missed out on Bristol earlier this season to capture the trifecta of concrete ovals, but with 2 race victories in Season 5 and in Season 6, Porter could be right there in the making to get his second victory of the season, and right there with the driver in the 92, his fellow teammate, who has been on a roll so far in the early portions of this 25-26 4-wide racing season. Let's get down to the starting grid and bring you tonight's Charlie Byer Photography starting order before the 10th race of the Season 8 4-wide racing TJ's Team Series, and our first and only trip this season to the Monster Mile. Who would you know? On the front row, Ethan Fonseca Moreno, who's won 3 in a row, trying to get his 4th straight and 5th of the season. A 22.918, good enough to get him on the front row. With Mikey Neal, fellow teammate, close to the win at Auto Club earlier on this season. He's still searching for his first 4-wide win. They'll share the front row to the green flag tonight. Steven Maggio rolled off from the front row at Bristol, got it torn away after wheel spin on the opening lap sent him spinning. He'll try to rebound tonight from 3rd with Justin Rott on the outside, the GOAT Incorporated car in position number 4. Back in row number 3, you'll find Nicholas Bauman, pole sitter from last week's race at Pocono. Jaden Porter, the 2-time Dover winner, looking to do it all over again. After a bit of an absence, couldn't win Season 7's affair, going to try and do it all over again. Blaine Snyder, the rookie driver, rolls off 7th alongside a fellow rookie, Amir Bascom, in his number 27 car on the outside in 8th. And the final 2 in the top 10, some veterans in 9th and 10th. Tristan Bailey locked out of last week's race at Pocono after crashing on the opening lap in turn 1, and Lawson Peel ran well in the strategy last week, but then crashed on the final lap of the race. He rounds out tonight's top 10.
Trevor Haley will be rolling off from the 11th spot, with Andretti Robinson making his second start in this series. Came up short of that win last week. Craig Lautenslager in the number 13 will be in 13th, with AJ Green, former champion of the series, down in the 14th position. Alexander Schumacher, looking to continue the shoe sanity run after its revival at Pocono, will roll off 15th, with Jonathan Jorgensmeyer, runner-up in the point standings, down in the 16th spot. Brandon Banks looking to have a solid performance out here from 17th, with Michael Newbrawl in the 18th position behind him. Randy Showers in the 22 will be in the 19th spot, with Delaware native Tyler Murray rolling off inside the top 20, Keelan.
Greg Parks will start from the 21st position, with Christopher Bishop in a 42 to his outside in 22nd. Daniel Moore will start in the 23rd position, with Juan Escamilla with a poor qualifying appearance. He will be trying to recover from the deep start in 24th. Brandon Gillis will roll off from the 25th position. Connor Tafari, first driver to not take a lap, he starts in 26th. Michael Walls, Daytona winner, will start in 27th, with Chris Fowler in 11th to his outside in 28th. And rounding out the pack, it's Timothy Cook in the 19 and CJ Munier in the 89.
30 cars full here from Dover, Delaware, as we get ready for a 200-lap affair. 200 miles and just a little over 321 kilometers from the Monster Mile. Should be a lot of fun. Well, Keelan, drivers are waiting behind the iRacing official pace car, still waiting on some of the final few to take the racetrack before that pace car comes rolling off. But before we get ready for tonight's event, what are the keys to victory at a track that probably may be the toughest to drive among them all?
Track position is going to be the most important one. We've talked about it all season, and tonight is going to be no different, with this line possibly being a single line race here tonight and really going to be hard to pass. It's kind of like a bigger Bristol, if you think about it in that sense. They're both concrete, they're both bottom line dominant, and they're both really hard to pass in, no matter how much faster you are than the guy in front of you. So track position going to be very important. Strategy could be a possibility today if we get some long green flag runs. We've seen it in the past here. If those green flag runs develop, could be an opportunity for some green flag pit stops. But follow the trends this season. We have had a lot of cautions in all the races so far this season. Have yet to have one really clean going at this 4-wide racing TJ Team Series this season. So take that into account. Those both factors could open up the door to several different strategies. Elsewhere, find speed. If that top line opens up like we've seen in real life, it could be an opportunity to get out of the wake of the car in front of you. But if you're married to the bottom side of the racetrack today, it's going to be tough sledding if you don't have that first key, which is track position. And can anybody stop Moreno, looking for his 6th win of the season tonight and what would be his 4th in a row? He looks back in championship form. And for more, out to our pit reporter, Charlie Byer.
Good evening from the pit lane, guys. Just off of Route 1 and situated 10 miles from the New Jersey border brings us to the former horse racing facility, stop number 10 on the 4Wide TJ's team schedule, and one of only 10 tracks in the country to have hosted over 100 or more NASCAR Cup Series events. For strategy tonight, guys, 200 laps on Delaware concrete. We're looking at a minimum of 2 pit stops, predicated by about 75 laps per tank per run. Given how tightly packed this racetrack is and how quirky its corner exits are, a lot more visits down to pit road could be in store for some cosmetic damage, rehab, and beyond. No matter what happens tonight, guys, I'll be down on the pit lane giving you all the updates as they unfold. My winner's pick tonight, you guys. I could go with the safe pick. Even last week under monumental pressure, he squeaked away with a win. That's, of course, I'm talking about Ethan Fonseca Moreno. But, guys, a driver who I've been looking at the last couple weeks, he's been getting better and better and more consistent. Had the checkered flag in his windshield off the final corner at Auto Club, guys. How about Mikey Neal? I'm going to go with him. He's starting second tonight. I think he's going to have a strong showing, and I think it might take a little bit of chaos to get us there, but I think he has something for that number 92. Watch out for that number 8. He's starting second tonight.
Thanks, Charlie. Mikey Neal on the outside of the front row. There's a look at his view from his sim rig. Those are triple monitor for the 8 car of Mikey Neal, who, again, short of the victory at the Auto Club Speedway, but he's shown pace at a lot of these worn-out, hard-to-drive tracks. Kansas is one he's circled for a long while, had a chance to win that last season as well, and in potentiality to go for his first 4-wide win tonight on a good qualifying effort on the outside of row 1. Lots of tire sets available on the pit lane for these drivers, given that this is a concrete miler, and it is probably one of the hardest on this set of Goodyear Eagles, so the drivers will be wary of that. Tires can blow, drivers can be sent spinning, and like Keelan said on his Keelan Keys, it has been tough to find a long green flag run, particularly early in the stretch. Richmond saw a lot of yellows throughout, especially in that first run. Last week at Pocono, we saw a fury of yellows before the final one brought up to a green flag run that basically settled until the end, and then we had overtime restarts. So really the chaos can come up at any moment, and in our 6th ever trip to this Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware, Moreno, who saw the win in his hands a couple seasons ago, but then race officials said it was for naught, his teammate got it instead, is looking to avenge himself on the front row with his teammate, a hungry Mikey Neal on the outside lane. Green flag from Dover Motor Speedway. We're racing from the Monster Mile, and trouble already on the opening lap. We'll get to the yellow right as they took the green. Mikey Neal and Jaden Porter end up sideways before the field gets to turn 1.
And that seems to be a common theme this season, Kenneth. We've seen this, I think, 3 or 4 times already in the early portion of the schedule. We've had incidents on the front straightaway. You think back to Bristol, the other concrete racetrack, we had trouble on lap number 1, and now here at Dover again, trouble for the birthday boy, Mikey Neal.
Celebrating his 24th birthday tonight, and that's not the cakes and candles he was hoping to see from the outside of the front row. Him and his teammate, Jaden Porter, involved, so not only the outside front row starter, but the 2-time Dover winner, Keelan, gets involved, and straight up, it is just wheel spin at the beginning of this race, right as they were taking the green flag. Again, it's not about restart zone on lap number 1. It's about the initial jump. When that green flag comes out, it's up to the driver's discretion what gear they want to be in, whether it's top of first, maybe the midway portion of second gear. But you see Mikey Neal come up to the outside wall, get hooked around by what appears to be Justin Rott, and then Jaden Porter in the background going around as well.
And it seems we have seen this several times. Like Francisco said, this season, these guys just kind of wheel spinning. We saw it at Kentucky, Bristol, and now today at Dover. And you saw Mikey Neal. He got a really good jump on the outside there. Him and Justin Rott in line, and just that wheel spin that we see right there. And we talk about when you're up to speed, that kind of awkward banking switch from 24 degrees of banking off the corner into the 9 degrees on the straightaway. It's kind of an abrupt turn right there in the banking, and we see it when these guys are up to speed. That wheel spin can really become a factor. But here, even where the restart zone is, where it's kind of in an awkward position right there coming off of turn number 4, We see it in this situation now, and that is going to put some damage on the 8 and the 28.
Almost looking like that 2016 restart incident with Jimmy Johnson. Remember when he missed the gear, stacked up the field? They went sideways, almost typical to see that level of chaos on a jump like that when the tires can easily be scrolled around and then the driver can go sideways. Jaden Porter sandwiched in the middle of the row with absolutely nowhere to go. Down to pit road and to Charlie Beyer for the first time tonight.
And for the drivers involved in that incident, guys, Mikey Neal has no damage. He's got a clean race car, maybe a little bit of cosmetic in the rear, but he's coming down and getting 4 fresh Goodyear tires. He's going to come off with a pretty clean race car. However, Jaden Porter, who was involved in the back half of this incident, has his right front fender punched in. He's going to have to get that punched out before he returns out to the racetrack, but he should be able to start on the lead lap.
Thanks, Charlie. Not the great start for the Louisville, Kentucky native of Jaden Porter, and that's the right front damage you see on his side of the Chevrolet Camaro as he tries to get things repaired. Mikey Neal has come back on the racetrack, some back-end damage, but he's recovered, and he's back out in 28th. Connor Trafari also made his trip down the pit lane with a chance at potentially gaining some more track position, but that's the last thing you want to see at all. A driver getting sent around after such a good qualifying effort. You put all of that time into putting in the best 2 laps possible just for it to all get torn away from you in the opening lap before the field even reaches turn 1. So we'll get the green flag restart here, lap 5, with Moreno out in front, still the pole sitter, of course. And then on the outside, Steven Maggio, who will take his place on the outside of row number 1. Remember, this was basically the front row at Bristol, just flipped when Maggio had spun around in that very same position that Mikey Neal was in, and then having to recover for the rest of the race. Maggio getting crashed in the final attempt of overtime, or the second attempt at overtime that brought out the final, with Eric Schaefer Chevrolet that got into the back bumper of that number 51 Toyota, sending him sliding and into the outside wall very hard. Maggio still trying to recover in his sophomore 4-wide campaign, and we'll take this first green flag restart here at lap 5 of 200. Moreno out in front. He'll be in control to the Echo Park Automotive restart zone, and another spinner. AJ Green, Craig Lounslogger, trouble off the restart. Man, we can't get going tonight. Two cars involved. There's the 13 of Lounslogger, the 48 of AJ Green.
We saw it from the camera angle we were sitting at with those guys getting up to speed going down the straightaway, and all of a sudden you see AJ Green sitting back there in about the 14th position or so, spinning down to the inside, catching Craig Lounslogger. See him speed up here, and everybody back in that pack just wheel spin again, and Craig Lounslogger gets into him. Brandon Banks may have got the worst of that, pounding into Green and then pounding into Lounslogger. Daniel Moore also getting involved, but it is the same story that we saw in the initial start with wheel spin on that banking transition that is going to really upset the 48's race car and spin him around. Nothing Craig Lounslogger can do in this situation.
Another look there. We're side by side in that row, and it's that UNC Charlotte number 48 machine that's going to go around. It's that wheel spin off the corner, and like you said, Keelan, that jarring transition from 24 degrees of banking to 9, and it's a quick whip around for AJ Green. Craig Lounslogger spins to the inside wall, and this is a self-cleaning racetrack, Francisco. There is nowhere to go apart from the inside of the banking when you end up in a spill like that on the straightaway. Unfortunately for Brandon Banks, nowhere he could go in the mix, and he gets a bit of early race damage. Just tough when you're at the back of the field. You see that happen in front of you, and there's nowhere to go. So Brandon Banks ends up in that situation. He's on pit road getting his car repaired, and we'll be back under the green flag in just a couple of moments. But still not even a full green flag lap complete. From the Monster Mile, we knew this track was treacherous and dangerous, but Keelan, I don't know if we thought it would be this treacherous that early on.
Yeah, it has been a struggle for these guys just to get up to speed, and we've seen it in the past this season where there were just some races that we just could not get going and not get a green flag lap completed, and it seems the trend is following here. But if I know my 4-wide trends well enough, Kenneth, it appears this will kind of start the race, and then we're just going to get a long, grueling green flag run that nobody's ready for, just to end in an overtime restart. That has seemed to be how these 4-wide races have gone this season, and we're currently on that trajectory, if I'm remembering right in my brain.
It's been hard to catch some green flag laps at Pocono. It did take a little while before the strategy had opened up, and then all of the green flag racing had occurred. Field had separated, and it became much more of a cleaner race. Down to pit road, Charlie Byer, what do you have?
You guys, drivers involved in that incident are now just pulling out on the racetrack. All the drivers will start on the lead lap, but drivers without a doubt have that accumulated the most damage, including Craig Lanslauger and AJ Green. Not getting that damage fully repaired. It's going to take a few more pit stops, but off of this restart, still no DNFs off of that, and we'll see if we can get going for the first time here.
Thank you, Charlie. I'm sure a lot of the drivers are ready for this race to get going in some capacity. I'd imagine that Moreno was a bit happy that the field continues to freeze while he's at the front of this field, but you know, you think you want some green flag racing in at least a little bit. You want to have a chance to make some track position, especially if you're those drivers in the mid-pack. Nothing more frustrating than being in the middle of the group and then wanting to make up positions. You understand that you probably have a car fast enough to do so. Caution comes out instantaneously, and you're more so worried about how the next restart is going to go versus what can you do under the green flag. So we'll get ready again. Moreno and Maggio on the front row. Nicholas Baumann and Justin Run on the inside and outside of row number 2. Can we try to get this one clean? Another trip to the Echo Park Automotive restart zone. Good jump from the first several. Moreno slows down a bit. Green flag out from Dover for the first time tonight.
And you can see the difference on this restart compared to other ones already, as more of the field is just strung out, trying to make sure that they keep clean. The battle is for second. Maggio trying to hang on the outside of that number 88. He's able to keep that second spot away. Looking further back, Amir Bascom up to the third lane, trying to get that one to work, but it looks like we will finally complete a lap around this racetrack.
That's a thank goodness, Keelan, from literally the entire field. They wanted this to go green for just a bit. Maggio clears ahead of Nicholas Baumann, Blaine Snyder, Justin Run. The rest of this running top 5, and that's where these things will get juicy in the mid-pack. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer and Tristan Bailey going at it down to turn 3. That's for 9th.
Now that we start to get some green flag racing in, these are going to be the opportunities for guys to make up the most track position on these restarts. It's going to be your best possible area of attack is going to be on these restarts, because everybody's going to try to get strung out here, get single file in line. When we get a lap going and a few laps going like this, you see everybody already kind of single filed out. The battling is not very heated up right now, and that is what it's going to make track position so important. The only real opportunity to make up that track position is going to be the lap or two after the restart before you get all single filed out, and then it's going to be about just running your line and running those laps.
Jurgensmeyer settling right behind the Indiana native of Trevor Haley, that bright teal Dark Horse Racing Chevrolet running inside the top 8, and after a top 3 performance by teammate Juan Escamilla at Bristol not that long ago, you'd imagine that Dark Horse Racing could start to find their momentum, bring the keys in, start to bring in some good finishes, and we'll just see how it all pans out. Lap 13, Amir Bascom makes this move. There's trouble in the back, and it is Trevor Haley. So he ends up in trouble down the apron. We are not going to get the yellow flag, but he nearly just about spun out. Francisco down to 29th, and will stay green.
He's able to save it, but he did tap the inside wall there. Fortunately, we'll stay under the green flag, but Trevor Haley will resume from the 29th position, hoping to see if he can regain a yellow flag to catch him back up to the field, as here's the replay of the incident. He's racing with an ally and Jonathan Jurgensmeyer behind him, but loses it just ahead of that 2 car and spins down to the apron, and right there he's going to see the left rear just kiss that wall, but really no significant damage.
Great save by Trevor Haley. He'll end up back in 29th and going to be that final car on the lead lap. So we'll keep an eye on the Indiana native as we push forward in this race, as Ethan Fonseca Moreno continues to lead the trail. 0.3 of a second down to Steven Maggio, Blaine Snyder, Amir Bascom, and Nicholas Baumann back in the rest of this top 5. And Keelan, it's a good sight to see for Ethan Fonseca Moreno, the 4-time winner this season, and again a driver that seemingly stuns out here at Dover Motor Speedway. Did so in season 6. Ended up winning that race unofficially, but then officially Race Control had called it quits on Moreno and gave the win to Porter, since Moreno had been involved in an incident coming off of pit road, and he had prayed for the racing gods to give him a wave around position under the yellow. He claimed that he had the lucky dog and it was taken away from him, but did not tell Race Control about the incident he was technically involved in after the spinning Patrick Thompson got hit by Moreno on the apron in turns 1 and 2. But Moreno clear out and away. The best driver so far is Blaine Snyder and Amir Bascom. Pair of rookies go at it for 3rd.
as we get this thing kind of rolling. Some green flag laps ticked off. That is going to play in Moreno's wheelhouse as long as he has that clean air out in front. He is a talented driver and knows how to make that car work towards the long run. But a couple rookies battling it out here. Blaine Snyder trying to turn some things around. We saw flashes out of him at Kentucky and qualifying and ended up wrecking pretty early in that one. In Bristol, he had good top 5 speed for a good portion of the race. Same for Bascom. We have seen a lot of flashes of speed out of these rookies. They just haven't been able to put that complete race together. We're going to try to turn that around today.
Bascom taking part in several 4-wide races this season, was back at Kentucky Speedway with a chance to run well, and then got into Lawson Peel at the exit of turn 4, and that had sent him hard into the wall. Crashed out of that race at Bristol, tried to get a race victory of his own, could not do it after winning the SAC Cup Series event at Bristol not that long ago. Charlie Byer, what do you have?
And I know you guys are aware of the EOL and the pass-through penalty. Actually, the EOL was not scheduled for Connor Trafari, but he requested one because he didn't want to take his pass-through penalty at the middle of the field. But he did take that pass-through penalty. He was 1 lap down just running, but it just pulled down pit road again, and he has disconnected from the session. So we're waiting for an update. No damage or carnage or anything like that. Connor Trafari will be our first DNF tonight. He's 30th.
He had asked for an end-of-line penalty from race control because he was going to get into the session late, and he didn't want to have anything factor in, especially at the back end of the field where a lot of the drivers did not qualify. So Trafari, early exit, first DNF here at lap number 21. There's the onboard look from Maggio as he tries to hold off a hard-charging Amir Bascom, Keelan. Lots have been coming out of this JBL Toyota over the last few laps, and Maggio's onboard look just gives you the scope of how tough it is to drive here at Dover and how long you gotta wait until you plant that throttle.
And this is really going to give a good look to see how hard passing is right here. Where you see Maggio just running his line in that second position. But now you look at Bascom. He's faster right now. But look at him trying to peek his nose to the outside, get that clean air. But that's not going to be enough to get a run down of straightaways. And I say that, and he got pretty close right there. But that is really the only strategy you have to make a pass here, is to get that clean air on corner entry and hope it's enough momentum to carry you down to straightaways. That's what Bascom's doing right now, but it makes it that much difficult, and it makes it a long, series that you have to go under to make that pass, as we start to see the race leader kind of fall back into the grasp of Stephen Maggio in that 51.
It's 0.2 of a second last time by. Maggio just a hair faster. The driver who took part of this Dover Motor Speedway race last season as part of his rookie campaign, after winning several of his races en route to a Championship 5 appearance. And Francisco, there's nothing like trying to get back on the right track, because after a string of horrible races for Maggio in which he either could not make the race itself or races in which he just suffered pure bad luck. Pocono was one of them last week, was in contention to win under the strategy. Circumstances had to pit when the second overtime restart was going to be put down, and then ultimately ended up in that crash in turn 3 involving Eric Schaefer, to which a lot of the eyes have pointed to intention from the Hampton, Virginia native, hence why he is suspended till after the All-Star break. We will not see Schaefer in racing action until 2026 as the earliest, but could be much later than that, given his scope of incidents that he has been involved in over the past few weeks here in the early portions of Season 8. But Maggio just looking eyes set on not only getting by Moreno and looking for a win, but just finishing well, something that has been seldom to come by for this Cairo, New York native.
It's been a struggling season for Stephen Maggio. There's going to be races where he's been running top 3, and then others where it's just not really gone his way. In Pocono, at least in the later portion of that race, it looked like it would give him a top 2 finish, but that caution ultimately came out, and he didn't have enough fuel for the extra overtimes on top of the original one we had, and it was just enough for him to have to bring it down pit road again, then got involved in that incident with Schaefer, as mentioned there. But he's looking to turn things around, driving the colors of Carl Edwards, and hoping to see if he can have a good run here tonight and end his winless streak that dates back to a different concrete racetrack, that being National Super Speedway from last season.
He told us before the Championship 5 last season that he's always dominated, done well on the hard-to-drive, cool racetracks. This one at Dover Motor Speedway tonight, definitely a hotter track temperature than what we usually see on this iRacing sphere, as Michael Walls, Daytona winner, makes that move on the inside of Tristan Bailey. That'll be a pass complete for a position inside the top 9. And right behind them, Lawson Peel, who Francisco, you kind of got a bit intimate with on the final lap. You guys ended up in a crash at the exit of turn 3 after 2 very good races. And as Peel is looking to turn the karma around in his favor after a struggle to begin Season 8, finally got back on the right footing with a string of top 10s after a crazy Bristol race and a Kentucky event in which he finished right behind the eventual race winner. Peel is looking to keep himself on a good place, and Dover Motor Speedway is a place in which he can perform well at. Last season ended up crashing, though, on this very back straightaway in the final few laps.
Yeah, Lawson Peel is still looking for that first win of the season. Has not gone to victory lane since the playoff opener from the Auto Club Speedway in that 3-wide pass coming to the checkered flag. He's looking to trying to have a good run. He's only really had about a top 10 or 2 finishes. As there's contact, Tristan Bailey with Michael Walls. What a save for that 35. Peel will try to go around the outside, and he's able to do so. Schumacher will take advantage as well. But Peel, Kenneth, he's trying to really get a proper good run from start to finish. He was able to come away with that really solid finish at Kentucky with 2nd place on that night. He's looking to try and make that a more mainstay rather than an outlier.
There's the onboard look from Peel as he rolls through turns 1 and 2, getting around the near spill from Tristan Bailey, who drops that 35 car down to 12th. And Peel chasing down top 9 territory on the Go Incorporated Ford Mustang of Michael Walls. And lots of other Fords up the road, and Jonathan Jurgensmeyer and rookie driver Andretti Robinson running in his 2nd ever 4-wide racing start. Performed really well, finished just 51 thousandths of a second short of the race victory at the Tricky Triangle last week. Keelan, what a story it would have been if Andretti Robinson could have continued the trend of new race winners to capture victory lane in their 4-wide debut. New paint scheme for the 45 of Robinson tonight, and a good race car running top 10.
Yeah, sitting pretty good and pretty right now. Got to talk to him post-race last week, and he had just the fuel enough to make it to the checkered flag with no overtimes. He said he would have been sputtering coming off the final corner, but we knew he was pushing it pretty close right there, and if he wasn't able to pick up that victory, Lawson Peel, Stephen Maggio, they were sitting right behind him. But it was a good run for him, a little bit of an alternate strategy last week that almost worked out in his favor as he was able to get that track position. Now we come to a Dover racetrack, and he's sitting behind Nicholas Bauman in that 88 machine. Bauman got a top 10 here in this race last season. And you remember the placement of this race last season. It was 3 races before the playoffs started. So it was a big turning point in the fact that you had to have a good run, get those points, possibly get that race win to qualify for the playoffs. Bauman ended up scraping by with a 10th place finish, and that is what helped qualify him for the playoffs last season.
Stellar moment for Dark Horse Racing when they got Bauman into the 4-wide playoffs last season in his rookie campaign. Not often do you see rookies stand out like that to make the playoffs, particularly on points. We usually see those rookies winning races, but for Bauman, who picked up the All-Star win last season at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway in a photo finish against Canadian Curtis Kelly, Bauman trying to double down on his success from his opening 4-wide campaign, take it into a second season, picked up the pole last week at the Tricky Triangle as well. So he runs P6 right in front of Andretti Robinson. That battle continues within at least a 10th or 2 back to turn 1. So the gap has opened up for the race lead. Moreno has stretched his legs after letting Maggio creep up just a bit in the standings. Moreno has been able to peek away 0.5 of a second between the Chevrolet and the Toyota back to turn 3. Francisco, we saw him in action during the Drop in the Hammer Cup Series race here at Dover Motor Speedway. It was his first start alongside Jaden Porter. Those two had been very much the dominant cars of the night, Porter being the better one, dominating the stages and then winning the race. But of course, you cannot discount any of the performance that Moreno had that night, and even in a different next-gen era where Moreno is finding his stride, it's still another fast and clean day for the San Jose Californian.
It's another day in the office for Ethan Fonseca Moreno, and Maggio the last 2 laps have put in some really good lap times to close in by multiple tenths on the Bear, as he's otherwise known as. They're slowly catching up to some lap traffic further up ahead that is going to be a teammate of Ethan Fonseca Moreno's in Jaden Porter. Jaden Porter struggling on this run here, probably hasn't gotten all the damage fixed. You can see a little bit of a crinkle on the front of his number 28 machine, and slowly but surely he is going to fall back to this lead battle and possibly go down a lap in this race pretty early. You see a battle there for the 3rd spot. That's Amir Basco holding on to the outside of the 7 machine of Blaine Sparling, Blaine Snyder, but he's able to hold off for now as Snyder was trying to make that bottom work. And this is something I've been seeing over the last couple laps, Kenneth, is we're seeing a lot more drivers being willing to go up to that 3rd and 4th lane, especially in 3 and 4. And it is widening out the racetrack, as there you see that's exactly what Maggio is using to try and get a run on Ethan for the lead.
He's looking up high with a chance to cross over at the exit of turn 2, and he's got it. Inside pass for the lead. Back to turn 3. Steven Maggio pointing down low with a chance to be the first lead change all night long, and he's got the nose ahead at the exit of turn 4. New race leader Steven Maggio, lap 43.
What would it mean to Steven Maggio to get a victory here tonight, and after the atrocious start to his season, to say the least, and had that incident last week at Pocono in the closing laps after looking like it was a surefire podium finish. Now he's got himself out in the race lead at Dover. That long run speed coming to life. Did pretty well for himself in this race last season, so trying to do the same. But this battle for third, they have not been able to settle it yet. Blaine Snyder working that bottom just well enough to stay up there with Bascom, and you see these guys entering low, pushing high in the middle of the corner, and exiting low. It's a lot like we see in a real life line here, where they're kind of trying to throw that slide job line. That is what these two are using effectively to race each other really hard for this third spot. Nobody has a clear edge yet, as you see Bascom get clear on corner entry right there, but Snyder just closes his nose right there, gets his front quarter panel right on the rear quarter panel of Bascom, pulls him back on corner exit. It looks like Bascom maybe tank slapped the wall right there, and he's going to lose 2 spots.
And that has invited the rest of the party. Bit of physicality. Snyder leaning on Amir Bascom in the middle of the corner. Inside goes Justin Rott at the exit of turn 2. And Nicholas Baumann right behind Andretti Robinson, the rookie. Lots of these standout drivers mixing it up together in the middle of this top 10, Charlie.
And guys, we're just crossing 45 laps run in this race so far. We're expecting about 60 to 75 laps per fuel tank, having run a full green flag run. So we're looking at about halfway through this fuel run overall. Assuming this race goes green, it's going to be pretty close, but we're still expecting about 2 stops. Again, that's assuming that nothing goes wrong, which it is Dover. You know how these tracks are, so we'll see how this turns out. But as for right now, we're looking at 2 stops to get us to the end.
Thank you, Charlie. We've gone 47 laps so far. No real trips down pit road, since the early yellows didn't warrant the field coming in for any sort of strategy play, whether it be tires or fuel. But I'd imagine, Francisco, they want the strategy to kick in, because this battle is starting to get good. Amir Bascom playing the defense on the rookie Andretti Robinson, while Baumann sneaks the inside of Michael Walls. This is all 5th on back.
Huge train of cars that are sitting behind the 27, as now the 45 Andretti Robinson was able to get by, and the battle for third at the same time is heating up. Justin Rott in this long run has moved up nicely. Now he's battling that 7 car for position, and this is about 6 cars all in together in that little bit of a group trying to work around the lap traffic of Jaden Porter for that battle for the 5th spot. And there you see those two battling away for the 3rd position.
And another look at Robinson leading this charge as Bailey tags the inside on Amir Bascom near contact. They'll bring in Lawson Peel. And the rest of this top 10, they've all come in as Jaden Porter watches the field come by as one of the first several cars a lap down or more. And Keelan, how difficult is it to get around lap traffic here at Dover? Because this is really a hard track to make passes at in general, whether you're on the lead lap or not. But to get around lap traffic, a whole different beast.
It is, and the one area you do not want to catch somebody on is right there on corner exit. If you catch somebody side by side on corner exit, you have to lose all your momentum and all your speed to get around that lap traffic. I think Jaden's playing nice with most of them right now, but Amir Bascom, ever since he smacked the wall racing for third, he has kind of sank like a rock. And one guy who has been unable to make the pass is Nicholas Baumann. Baumann has kind of been sinking with them, unable to make that pass. You see Lawson Peel, Tristan Bailey getting by. Tristan Bailey got that. He got a 21st place finish last season at this racetrack, but that did not show his speed. Average running position of 4.8 that day. He currently sits in 7th. That battle for third continuing to heat up with Justin Rott and Blaine Snyder.
And then Amir Bascom and Baumann continue to go at it. We had a pretty good stat entering this race that would have been a part of our 4-wide race trends, but we didn't have enough time to get to that. No driver in 4-wide series history has won this Dover race from the pole, so it's kind of a tall task for Ethan Fonseca Moreno, who put his WeatherTech Chevrolet on the front row inside to the green flag first, alongside Mikey Neal. But it's Steven Maggio showing the way early. He spread out to a 4/10 of a second gap, as everyone in the midst of the top 10 continue to do battle, especially at this back half where Tristan Bailey, Andretti Robinson, and a lot of others are cutting their teeth trying to pick on through. And it's starting to get real difficult, Francisco. When you're behind the wheel of a race car like this, the tires are starting to fall away. You've got not only lead lap traffic around you, but lap traffic to deal with. What is the method of saving the right front tire, or really saving all of the tires before we could get to a potential green flag pit stop for the first time?
It's going to be difficult to save tires here at Dover. It's just one of those tracks where no matter what you do, the right front especially is just going to wear out. And it's that simple. That's why we've seen drivers chasing it up high, because it's so tight that they're basically just acknowledging it and saying, okay, I'm just going to run the top anyways and focus on making sure I make the corner but get a great run off in the process. So we're seeing who's trying to do that, who has to do that, and how it's working out for them. You're going to see the onboard with Christopher Bishop is kind of running in the middle of the racetrack, so not too much on either end there. And CJ Munier goes on by. Early pit stop for the 19 of Timothy Cook Jr. He's made his way onto the pit lane here. He scraped the wall a couple of times, so it looks like he's got some damage on the right front of his car, and he's coming in for service there on the right side of your screen. So we'll see if this stays green flag for a couple more laps. Kenneth, we heard the fuel window was expected to be about 65 to 70 laps, and if you know that fuel isn't going to be the biggest concern, then you might try to maybe come in on the front side of that window to try and get an early jump on those tires.
And the question is, who jumps first? If you're anyone in the back half of this top 10, you've been rummaging through your tires, just trying to save face on track position side of things. Do you want to come down early, knowing that the leaders have slightly pulled away? The gap back from second to third is a mere second and a half. That is how much Steven Maggio and Moreno have pulled away from the rest of this field, without even really talking about the battles that a lot of these guys have been a part of, particularly the body armor Chevrolet of Justin Rott. He was in a side-by-side effort against Blaine Snyder. They had been running for third for quite a bit of ways, but then it just really dissolved and Rott was able to pull away. Now Snyder under fire from a fellow rookie driver, Daytona winner Michael Walls, looking potentially on the inside. Charlie, we've got lots of storylines right before what could be our first stretch of green flag stop.
Yeah, it's only about 10 to 15 laps away. Just an update on Timothy Cook. He sustained damage in both his right front and his left rear. He is currently 4 laps down, took a bit of damage repair on the pit road. Not even sure if his steering wheel was straight. I think he had a bit of contact with the wall down into, he was running in the 24th position and is now 4 laps down, 28th position. Approaching the green flag pit stops, guys, all I'm expecting here is just a simple full tank of fuel and 4 fresh Goodyear tires. It's going to be a simple one for these guys, but watch out for that pit road entry.
Thank you, Charlie. Another driver coming down pit road, Francisco Amir Bascombe. We saw him fighting for position in the top 10. The tires have gone away, and there's a spinner. It's Timothy Cook at the exit of turn 4. That will bring out the yellow flag right as we were catching Bascombe hitting the pit lane. Will that be a trap as the yellow flies once more from Dover?
Luckily for most of the field, not many had made a pit stop yet in this race, and unfortunately one of them was AJ Green, and that's the second. If I had a nickel for every time Timothy Cook Jr. has brought out a caution approaching green flag pit stops at a concrete track this season, that would give me at 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it has happened twice.
Here's a look at what happened to Timothy Cook. Remember, he had come down for a pit stop, and I believe, Keelan, the suspension was damaged. That right front was basically cooked from the word go. He was on the back straightaway. Car had been turning around, and then he just slapped the inside wall, spinning across the exit of turn 4. A rather bizarre scenario for Timothy Cook, who had come down for a relatively scheduled pit stop. Maybe he had hit the pit road barrels on the way in. We saw a bit of smoke from the camera off of turn 4. So Cook will bring out our first yellow flag, breaking out the first ever green flag pit stop sequence that we could have had tonight. And that'll shut down the rhythm. Maggio in the field will lead them on in. Charlie, it is a full house on pit road. Maggio being the first one in.
And we know how track position is important here, not only in the next-gen cars, but at Dover Speedway. Is it a tight racetrack, and for cars that have a bit of unstable maneuverability when it comes to these corner exits and corner entries, it's going to be important for these drivers to get a good jump off of pit road, but Steven Maggio is going to drag them down. And as I mentioned, I'm just expecting a quick full tank of fuel and 4 fresh Goodyear tires. These drivers are going to pull in, no speeding penalties from anyone, and the only driver who has substantial damage is Timothy Cook and AJ Green. They'll get that damage repaired under this yellow flag. So we're just waiting for the jacks to drop, and maybe Steven Maggio can pull back out in front, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ethan Fonseca Moreno has a fast stop here.
Charlie, thanks. There's the runoff of pit road. Close-knit fighting between Moreno and Maggio, but it's a quicker stop by a hair. Moreno out first, 14.3 second stop, and the pole sitter back in control here from the Monster Mile.
Those 0.8 of a second will do it, Kenneth. We saw the razor-thin margin. Moreno was able to get out in front of the 51 compared to when he entered behind. And that will give him now the track position advantage for this next restart. Very crucial to have these leads, to have the clean air when we go racing, and this will give the 92 the advantage once more with some help behind.
So good pit stops by the entire field. Justin Rott will come out third. We almost saw the Michael Walls battle between himself and Rott for that third position, but it did not pan out. Andretti Robinson rounds out the top 5 as we continue to run through. 1 to green from the iRacing official pace car. It will be Moreno and Maggio on the front row. Amir Bascombe, who suffered the tire deficit early on in the run, will have to give way for position. He came down pit road right as that yellow was coming out. Bascombe, the lucky dog candidate, should we get another yellow out on the speedway. The unfortunate situation for the JBL Toyota as he came right down. That's where Timothy Cook entered stage right and then just spun around on his own accord. Remember, tires blowing is a big factor at Dover. It is one that sort of unique to this racetrack. We don't see that at a lot of the other ovals unless you run a ton of laps on a green flag stint. But even then at Bristol, Alex Schumacher went about 115 laps and didn't see a tire going down in any indication. So Dover just a lot harder on the Goodyear Eagles than they would be otherwise. And as the field gets their fresh set for the first time tonight, it's a chance for everyone to stretch their stuff. For Justin Rott and Michael Walls, a chance to break in the spoiling story of Moreno and Steven Maggio being the dominator so far at the front. Back through the Echo Park Automotive restart zone on a green flag restart, lap 65 of 200. It's a good jump by the 92 machine. Justin Rott follows suit, nearly clears for second. Back to turn 1, Keelan.
We see Moreno, he got a nice jump, and Justin Rott going to get clear for that second position in front of his GOAT Inc. teammate of Steven Maggio. And if he holds Maggio up, that could open up the door for Michael Walls to make a move in that third spot. Remember, Walls, how deep he started in this race, and over the course of that green flag run, found his way to put himself in the top 5. So that 60 car has a lot of speed. Him and Justin Rott, both two guys who we have seen on the top of the ladder on Mondays in the KBRN Truck Series, now here in 4-wide, flexing their muscle tonight at Dover.
A lot of the good stuff at the front of this field, and they have really congested in the middle of this top 5. Maggio falling short, Justin Rott taking away a race-high second, and Michael Walls in that top 5 just sneakily fast in his yellow and white Kroger Ford Mustang, peeking in on the outside of Maggio's run for P3, while Andretti Robinson fights Lawson Peel. Not the first time we see them squabble up. We saw them at Pocono go at it for what would have been the net race lead. Now they're still single file back to turn 3.
Single file for a good portion of the field until you get all the way back to really about Tyler Murray, and I believe that was the 13 of Lautenschlager that were battling for a moment there, but now rejoined that battle up ahead with Nicholas Baumann and Blaine Snyder up in the top 10. Baumann has solidly been there, kind of lost a couple of the positions he was holding on to with the 27's tire issues towards the latter portion of the run, but he's trying to recuperate nicely.
A good midseason area for Nicholas Baumann. 4 top 10s in the last 5 races. That includes a 4th place finish at Pocono after landing on the pole and getting involved in an incident or two. Had some damage that he got fixed, and suddenly Baumann was in the picture on the final attempt at overtime. Just barely squeaked by the big crash coming to the white flag, and the Connellsville, Pennsylvania native was able to escape with his best finish of the season after 8th, 7th, and 8th in some of the last few at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve Auto Club in Kentucky. Had a 22nd place finish a couple weeks ago at Bristol, but came back and rallied in a nice way at Pocono not too long ago. So we'll keep an eye on this 88 machine as he stabilizes inside the top 10. Charlie, what do you have?
In trouble at the top of the point standings for the driver in third. AJ Green has sustained a bit of rear end damage on the first yellow flag of the race, but sustained a lot of front end damage during the last green flag run. He did get that rear damage repaired, but he did come down pit road to prepare that heavy damage. He did disconnect from the session. He is back, but he is 2 laps down, so he's got a bit of ground to make up. But with his points cushion, I think he's in a decent spot right now.
Thank you, Charlie. Unfortunate for the Clemens, North Carolina native, who we were about to talk about in this race. Unfortunately, the restart issue kept him out of contention for running in what would have been these places right here, top 10 and top 15 for the UNC Charlotte 49ers, number 48 Chevrolet, who had picked up his 6th top 10 finish of the season over the first 9 races of the season with a top 10 effort at Pocono just last Wednesday night. The last time he achieved 6 top 10s in the first 9 races of a season, he did it twice. His last time was season 5, one of our last seasons with this next-gen car. You want to guess the other season, Francisco? Season 3, his championship campaign. It's consistency that has brought AJ Green to high points in his 4-wide career. It's a good start in season 8, although Dover may just be one of those get-back moments as he comes down pit road once again.
It's been a struggling couple of seasons for AJ Green, but so far season 8 has definitely been the turnaround he's been looking forward to and trying to right the ship. Season 6 made that the playoffs and had a really great season, but ultimately ever since that playoff run it has just turned sour, and he is looking to try and go back to victory lane. It's been a couple of seasons for one of the top 10 winningest drivers in this series, and here's one of the drivers that has just one career win. Michael Walls peeking to the inside of Steven Maggio for the 3rd spot. Maggio was able to hold on later into the runs before the speed really started to show out, but the 60 of Michael Walls has slowly been creeping up towards his top 5.
Walls with 3 top 10s to start the year, including that win at Daytona, which we just continue to talk about because it's one of the wildest finishes we've ever seen in 4-wide history, from 9th off turn 4 to the checkered flag first, but had a top 10 streak that broke after the 3rd race was over. The 4th race kicked in, and ever since really has not been able to capture a top 10 since. Lots of 28th place finishes, below 25th place finishes, and then last week at Pocono, the heartbreak after crashing at the exit of the tunnel turn on both sides of the race car. That Ford Mustang was out very early in the affair as Steven Maggio powers from the outside. His car is coming to life, Keelan back to turn 1, makes the move on Justin Rott, and now looking for the lead again on Moreno.
I was just about to say, Michael Walls was getting underneath him. I was thinking maybe Steven Maggio is feeling the effects of the dirtier air back in the 3rd spot and losing a bit of ground, but now he's got clear for 2nd, and now he's going to try to get back to Moreno, and the earlier he can get to Moreno, the more time he will have to possibly be able to pull away. It got like 10 laps before the pit cycle when he got around on the last run. If he can get around him a bit earlier here, he would probably not mind that at all, but starting to see these stories take shape, Kenneth. Ethan, that fast, short-run car being able to gap 2nd place, but Steven Maggio looks really good as the run goes on. So it's really going to possibly come down between these two if we get a long run or a short run, how this thing may end.
Chevrolet Toyota, there's the onboard look from Moreno as he watches Maggio creep closer, 0.3 of a second, chopping down to nearly 0.2 of a second. Maggio is just a bit slower that last time by, where Moreno's starting to press on that gas and get a little bit faster, but Francisco, like we saw in that last run, it just takes a couple more laps for Maggio to start finding speed. It took that to get around Justin Rott for 2nd, and now that 07 is falling into the distance. It is just these two once again back in the spotlight.
It also took Justin a good couple of laps before the car really came into its own on that previous run, and eventually started running lap times mirroring like that of your leaders. But now that he's up to the 3rd, maybe now he settles in and tries to keep the car under him, and once again hope for a long enough run so he can try to keep up with them as best as possible. Will be nicely in that 3rd spot. He could definitely pull away from the likes of the 7 and the 60, who he was faster than in that previous run if he can match that. But Moreno has seen Maggio move up to 2nd. You can see the difference in the line that those two are running. Maggio's kind of running the bottom all the way around the corner, kind of like a traditional corner, while Moreno's going to drift up a little bit more compared to that 51. And we'll see what that does in terms of tire life, but for Moreno, that line is working a lot better as he's able to pull away.
Maggio's been able to use some of the high lanes that you'll see a couple drivers here in the top 10 use, most notably Andretti Robinson, the Exalta Chevrolet of Lawson Peel, even a bit of Nicholas Baumann just getting in on the pie as well. Huge run off turn 4. That'll give the inside charge for Peel, the Mississippi native striking underneath the DHL 45. And this is going to be for P6 back to turn 2. Great battle that's building up so far. And what's interesting to note is that Moreno hasn't made a 4-wide Dover start since that Season 6 race in which he got to the win unofficially, and then race control took the win away. He dropped to the tail end of the lead lap, and it dropped him a ton of points in the standings to Lawson Peel, which he would ultimately pick back up and win the championship at Homestead. But he was not a part of that Season 7 affair that was dominated by Gabriel Dehari and Brandon Hawken, just because of his work schedule that forbid him from running any 4-wide races, since he would be working on the time slot that 4-wide would go up as the sessions went on through the late stages of 2025 in Season 7. So it really is a revisit to that one race that he thought was one that could go away, one that he initially thought would be his in the bag, and then one that Tyler Murray gave him the bearer of bad news, just being like, no, this was not your race victory based on our review post-race. So Moreno already back here from Dover and just controlling the rhythm as he's gapped Steven Maggio. It's nearly a second between the two cars, and then another 4/10 before you catch up to Justin Rott, Blaine Snyder, and Michael Walls for the rest of this current top 5. It has been a slugger fest right now from Dover Motor Speedway, all in the hands of the 4-time race winner, looking for a 4th straight. When we come back, more coverage of the 4-wide racing TJ's Team Series on the KBueno Racing Network from the Monster Mile.
Let's go racing!
Welcome to the Thousand Islands Cruette in Clayton, New York. We're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Come in for a tasting and our helpful and knowledgeable staff will help you find the perfect olive oils or vinegars to add that perfect touch to your next meal. We have monthly specials and sales, as well as new pairings and recipes, so there's always something new to try when you visit. The Thousand Islands Cruette on James Street in Clayton. And don't forget, no touchy the tankies.
There's only one fuel that can drive the performance you demand from your car. New 94 Octane, the highest octane on the market, only at Sunoco.
Hey, Francisco, what's up? Yo, what's up, Kenneth? How you doing, man? How are you? Good, how you been? What you got in the bag, man?
I got a panini, I have a hoagie, I got it all through the Wall Rewards app.
You can order it all through the app?
You can order it all through the app.
I can order it all through the app. The world is my oyster! By placing your order on the Wawa app, you can pick up at any time with ultimate satisfaction. Gotta have a Wawa. Back live from the virtual Dover Motor Speedway as we continue through round 10 of the Season 8 4-wide racing TJ's Team Series. And glad that you're with us on the KBueno Racing Network, where alongside Francisco Bacallao and Keelan Belsha, I am Kenneth Bueno. We have our pit reporter Charlie Bauer giving us the storylines from the pit lane all night long. Right now, this man is in control by nearly a second. Ethan Fonseca Moreno in search of his 4th consecutive 4-wide racing TJ's Team Series victory. He would be the first driver to ever do it, as he leads by 8/10 over Steven Maggio. Lawson Peel was in a great battle in the top 5. He's right behind Andretti Robinson, and the rest of the field runs single. One of our longest green flag runs, Francisco, spoiled by a Timothy Cook spill at the exit of turn 4. We may very well see a first-round entry into pit road under green for the field if everyone continues to be on their best behavior.
We've already clicked off about 30 laps into this fuel window run that ever since that last caution pit stop cycle. So if we run an additional 40 or so laps, we could possibly see them bring it back down the pit lane. And what's interesting is that that'll put us into a range of possibly being able to pit to the end. It's a very tight one-stop potential if it does go green flag, so there's not much room for strategy if you're any of these drivers, considering everybody is going to try and make it on that one pit stop, and that will probably mean trying to get it all the way to lap 130. So that's going to be the magic number everyone's aiming for, is lap 130.
Possibility for some of those drivers to extend that run. And if these guys are able to hold on to their tires, it'll be a big-time move for some of those who can try and one-stop it into the end. But Keelan, as we saw with Amir Bascombe, he was the first pure example of tires blowing away in the final few laps of a green flag run. Bascombe had used them up so quickly over the course of the race that he was slowing down dramatically. Now he's still the first car a lap down in that lucky dog candidate spot. How quickly his race is unraveled because of that one mistake on a green flag run. I'd imagine the drivers want to get to 130. Can they make it on the tires they have now? The big question, if they handle it right.
And that is the question these guys are going to have to be looking at and going over, because they saw what happened to Bascombe. AJ Green had the same issue go down with the tire going down. You cannot have that happen if you're out here running as long as you can. And for maybe a guy being a little bit more conservative on his tires, he may be able to stretch it and make this thing a one stop from here. But we're really at that awkward number where it's a two stop on tires, but maybe a one stop on fuel. So if you can get your tires and get them to the end of the run at a good enough percentage and good enough handling wise to make it a one stop on tires, that could be the winning strategy. But it's going to have to take the perfect mix of aggression and tire saving.
Here's a look at rookie Blaine Snyder, 2 top 10s over his first 3 4-wide starts entering tonight. This is his 4th start total. Picked up his best career finish of 5th place at Pocono last week. As he runs to the inside of Nicholas Bauman, that Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet, and then working up on the lap car, Jaden Porter, who ever since his opening lap incident alongside Mikey Neal, things have not been cool and calm and collected for the Ally Chevrolet, who's had 2 Dover Motor Speedway wins and has won at the concrete tracks twice. The only track he's missing on the list is, of course, Bristol Motor Speedway and the fastest half mile, to which he missed out on that opportunity several weeks ago. We look back in this field with Jaden Porter, Amir Bascombe, guys like Timothy Cook, and one name stands out, Francisco, that is a what if. Had he not wrecked on the opening lap, Mikey Neal has done a great job of recovering to 12th, but he's still on that long road to the back of the field, or to the front of the field where he had started outside of row 1.
It's a slow recovery drive effort here from Mikey Neal, who had just past the halfway point, has worked his way up into 12th, but he also has had a lot of green flag racing that hasn't really allowed him to make up a lot more positions than maybe he was hoping for. So he's hoping that he can maybe get an assistance from a yellow or two to gain some more positions on pit road, get better restarts, and that way he can move up into the top 5 or 10.
Remember back in that Season 6 race where Moreno had basically won, him and Jaden Porter were involved in early race accidents. They got the damage fixed, and it just took a strategy play after a yellow flag to be on the alternate track, come out ahead with track position first, and that's what basically put them in a 1-2 spot to win that race. So potential for Mikey Neal, even a bit of Craig Lautenslager, 2 drivers who picked up damage early in this affair, to end up on the right track if we end up with a long green flag run that gives them that chance to have track position more than anything. And here is where the battle for the lead will spice up once again. Keelan, Steven Maggio has found his stride in the late portions of this run. They'll come across the line for the 42nd lap, and what was at once an 0.8 of a second gap between the leaders, now crunched down in half.
And he is reeling him in and doing exactly what he did last run. As this run carries on, he has that long run speed as these tires get more worn and worn, and he feels like that's playing into his wheelhouse right now. But as he gets closer, that air behind the 92 gets a little more prevalent, so he's going to have to stick his nose to the outside and get that run on a straightaway like he was doing earlier. But as we close that gap onto green flag pit stops, he wants to get in front of him and put as much of a gap on him as he can, to where if Moreno were to pull out a short pit out of his hat, he doesn't get too much of an advantage.
Beautiful double-ended look from the leader to second place, how they run this Dover Motor Speedway. And one thing that the drivers will describe to you when they drive this track, Francisco, is that the wall comes up quick. It's 24 degrees in the corners, 9 degrees on the straightaway, which is a hefty amount of banking for any straightaway on the oval side of things. But that wall comes up so fast when you're trying to get that gas pedal in, you run up the hill, and the car just wants to sail off into the outside safer barrier. When you're this long into a green flag run, how do you protect that right front? How do you make sure the car doesn't go up into the wall and make sure that it rotates off the corner well?
The biggest thing is you want to wait to actually get off the corner. At most racetracks, you get out towards that wall and really right there pushing on the exit of the corner. Here, you basically have to wait until you're almost on the straightaway completely before thinking about getting to the wall. Look at Moreno's line there on the onboard. Look how late he gets towards the wall compared to Maggio, or even how you put up at almost any other racetrack. And it comes down to the line they're running. You see Maggio is willing to roll the bottom a lot more than Moreno is, and we talked about that being the difference in what they're doing and how it's working out for both of them, since they've clearly been two of the fastest drivers here. As Lawson Peel, after having a little bit of a scare battling with Andretti Robinson, got big time loose off of turn 4, has tried changing his lines up, and now he's trying to see if he can make it a charge back up for that 5th spot again.
That first green flag run, you saw a bulk of drivers go way up to the outside, looking to get more rotation and straight line the exit of turn 2 and turn 4. It's sort of what helped Maggio get around cars early in the run and then get around Moreno for the lead. But seemingly enough, that 51 has stayed true to the inside of the racetrack, a part of the racing venue, which you can kind of nab the apron and get a bit sideways if you just get a bit over eager. That's another feature of Dover that seemingly is a lot of fun to talk about. No distinction between the banking in the corner and then that darker shaded apron. It sort of blends into each other, so you can easily mistake racing on the inside for getting the left side tires on the apron. It just takes one mistake for a car to go spinning around to the inside or outside wall. There's Nicholas Baumann and Jonathan Jurgensmeyer doing battle, Ford and Chevrolet, at the exit of turn 2. Jurgensmeyer, Keelan, very quiet in this top 10, had a solid run earlier this season at the Auto Club Speedway looking for his first win, and he got it at the exit of turn 4, and now peaking on this Pennsylvania native with Craig Launslager on his tail.
This is his first full-time season in the 4-Wide Racing Series, and saw him at the tail end of last year in the 00 running the 70, running a handful of races. The Dover Speedway was one of them, where he picked up a 5th place finish. So he has his knowledge about this speedway, and he performed pretty well here last season. Currently sitting 9th, kind of a quiet day on the back half of the top 10. Or Jurgensmeyer in a 2 car, just trying to put together another good points day if he can. It's looking good so far.
Running the Blue Deuce tonight, one of the several paint schemes that Jurgensmeyer has repped over the course of the early portions of Season 8. A couple weeks ago, he was in that Reds Appaleo Ford Mustang. Similar colors to what Brad Keselowski used to run several years ago when he ran for Team Penske, and even a bit of the discount tire cars that Brad Keselowski and even Austin Cindric continue to run to this day. Down to pit road and to Charlie Beyer. We're getting down to crunch time.
Yes, yeah, we are down to, we went to grade on around lap 6. So we're about 10 to 20 laps away from our next green flag pit stops. Obviously, there was talk about the fear of blowing a tire, but as of right now, these drivers are pushing it as far as their fuel tank will take them, which we might see another case of blown tires. We'll just see how it's going to play out.
Thank you, Charlie. There's the battle right behind Jurgensmeyer, Launslager, Baumann, and Mikey Neal. Charlie, you were so stunned from what we could see on this green flag stint. He just stopped talking overall. There's Moreno, race leader, 4/10 of a second over Steven Maggio. This battle just remains stable where it's at. As we step into this long green flag stretch, they're coming up on lap traffic. I believe it's Timothy Cook right in front of this WeatherTech Chevrolet. Should be an easy pass for Moreno. However, Keelan, last season there was drama getting around lap traffic. Lawson Peel got into a car at the exit of turn 2 when spinning on the back straightaway because he had been getting around the car in the final few laps of a run. It takes one mistake and one poor entry. Moreno hoping that Cook stays out of the way and stays peaceful in this run. It looks like that will be the case. Moreno gets around off turn 4.
That's just where you don't want to catch them. Said it a little bit earlier, you do not want to be side by side on corner exit with a lap car. You want to get him on entry and put him in your rearview mirror. That is exactly what Steven Maggio just did as well in the 51. And look at the speed it allowed him to carry through the center of the corner and off corner exit to stay with Moreno right there. You're just trying to avoid his tire tracks. I believe that was Christopher Bishop who we saw making a look down the pit road. So we're starting to get to that point where they're starting to get in the green flag pit window. Still a little bit far out as far as making it to the end of this race, but guys are going to be kind of eyeing their entry.
Riding on board with the Port Huron, Michigan native of Alexander Schumacher. Look at that Christmas tree in the background. We're still in mid-November, guys, and he's already got the Christmas spirit in. Not only is it a Christmas tree in the background that's glistening on his camera, Francisco, that's a Detroit Lions Christmas tree. That's fandom if I've ever seen it for Alex Schumacher. Fresh shave. He's pulled away from Brandon Banks, CJ Munier, and Amir Bascom. They're starting to squabble at it. It looks like for top 15 position, Bascom's still a lap down looking for the lucky dog. But great look from Schumacher there. Already getting a bit festive like almost every retail store is doing right after Halloween.
And mind you that we still have Thanksgiving to go.
Yeah.
I feel like it sometimes tends to get forgotten in this holiday season. You get the Mariah Carey songs rolling up, some Sinatra on the radio as well. And it's like, wait, we got to deal with Thanksgiving first in 2 weeks' time. Can't wait for that. But I got to ask Shuey where he got that Christmas tree. I mean, I would be interested in buying one for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Duval. Hopefully Colin Forster could use that. It's been a tough couple of weeks for us with the announcement Travis Hunter's out for the year. But with that, Kenneth, we do have some green flag pit stops out here. Tyler Murray, one of those to bring it down the lane.
Christopher Bishop, his teammate as well. Murray had been involved in the first lap crash at Pocono last week that took him out of the affair with suspension damage alongside his teammate Tristan Bailey. That beautiful purple Ford Mustang of Christopher Bishop is out of the pit lane. Charlie, it's starting to get busy around where you are.
Yeah, Randy Showers was the first car to take them down pit road. He was deep in the field, but it's now going to start this green flag pit stop run. The window is now open, but, however, we were expecting about 65 to 70 laps on a full tank of fuel. So, we are getting to the point where a one-stop strategy to the end of the race, this race could be viable. It's going to take a bit of saving if they don't make it to lap 30 or maybe just a little bit beyond. But guys, I wouldn't count on a driver banking on this race going green all the way until the end, saving a bit of laps and getting there. If not one, maybe a lot of these drivers in the front of this field to try to counteract anyone who tries to pull a fast one on them. So it's going to be close, but the window is now open and people are going to start coming in the next 5 to 10 laps.
Thank you, Charlie. It's almost looking like Pocono all over again, right, guys? Keelan, it just took a couple yellows, a long green flag run to separate the field into 3 distinct strategies between Moreno and Bacalhau on one, Jaden Porter and Andretti Robinson on another, and then the rest of the field on the main strategy that ultimately did not work out. Moreno had to save fuel all the way into the final lap of the race, where he had clutched in on the white flag lap in the final corner of the event and nearly lost the race to Robinson down the straightaway. Could we see someone have their hand out that window that long, save as much fuel as they can, and then bank on a yellow falling in their favor?
Well, I think more concerning is the tires almost. If you pit right about now or in the next 3 or 4 laps, you may have enough fuel to make it, but you'll have to take care of those tires. Remember, we saw in the early stages of this race, Amir Bascom was pushing it, and he took that right front tire before he was even close to running out of fuel. So you have to take care of those tires just as much, and especially these guys, as we see Blaine Snyder making a trip down pit road, these guys who are going to be trying to stretch it as long as they possibly can, they are going to have to take care of those tires.
There's Blaine Snyder, rookie on pit road, pitting from the top 10, Francisco. That's a big move as we move forward in this race.
And we're going to see more of these drivers work their way into the lane over the next handful of laps. We're getting right to the end of that fuel being ran inside these cars. You see another driver just in front of the leader work his way into the lane. Numerous others as well. Charlie Byer, your pit information.
Yeah, and as for the pit stop itself, I'm expecting no more than just full tank of fuel and 4 fresh Goodyear tires. Blaine Snyder from the top 10 is going to lead a lot more drivers in. This is going to be the strategy that we're approaching just over 70 laps to go in this race, so I think every driver is going to take a bit of saving, but I think generally it's going to be one stop to the end unless somebody splits the stage, and we'll see how it goes from there. But I think Ethan Fonseca, Moreno, and Steven Maggio, they're going to be coming in soon, but as of right now, they're going to go as long as they can.
And magic number 130, Snyder coming in 2 laps prior to that number. Now it's hit, 70 laps to go from Dover, Delaware, and it's still Moreno out in front. 0.7 of a second will separate himself and Maggio. No indication that Moreno is coming in this time by. Neither is there an indication from the second place car. Neither is there from 3rd, 4th, 5th, and the list continues. All of these guys will stay out for as long as they physically can, knowing the separation that's in store. And there's Columbus, Mississippi's Lawson Peele stepping into the top 5 for the first time tonight. Only 3 starts in his 4-wide career here at Dover because we had an absence of this track on the schedule from seasons 3 to 4. Then when 5, 6, and 7 came around, then we started running Dover more consistently. Peele, after crashing last season, ended up out of that race early, but A second and third place affair in his previous 2 starts in the Next Gen era. Very good for a driver looking to get back to a championship podium spot. As he runs from 5th, it looks like the race leader is starting to come in, and there he peels off Charlie Beyer. The race leader's in, this time at lap 132.
No issues for the 92 of Ethan Fonseca Moreno. Looking for a 4-peat here at Dover. Had a win stripped away from him in a season prior, but no issues coming in this time. Obviously, his pit entry a few seasons ago was the reason he got his win stripped away. However, it is there, and he will have it. So he will come into the pit road expecting no more than just 4 tires and a full tank of fuel. Steven Maggio is still out on lap number 133. Obviously, Steven Maggio over the course of that run was able to save his tires just a little bit better, able to creep up, but had a little bit of fall off towards the end of this run. But obviously, he has enough faith in his tires to stay out there for a few extra laps, and maybe he'll have a significant tire advantage based on how much he can save when it comes to the end of this race. As for Steven Maggio, the jack drops and he's out. Still in P1, Steven Maggio still out on the racetrack.
Lots of lost love between these two. They may be at odds again, this time on the racetrack for the race victory here from Dover. Maggio stays out the extra lap. Justin Rott will be back in 2nd. Lawson Peel has stepped up to 3rd, with Andretti Robinson and Mikey Neal to the top 5. What a recovery it's been for the Wake Forest North Carolinian of Mikey Neal. We'll keep an eye on him as he patrols forward. Maggio stays out another lap. Justin Rott will follow suit. So Francisco, they are giving it all that they've got, either hoping that a yellow could give them the track position, or they still feel they have life left in them. There's Lawson Peel on the pit lane.
I think that's exactly what they're hoping for, Kenneth, is that they're praying that we see a situation in which the caution flag comes out before they ever have to make it down pit road, though they can't go much longer. I think Steven Maggio, within the next 2 or so laps, will have to bring it in. But I will say, if we go green and we end up in a situation like Pocono where you're trying to stretch that fuel through overtime restarts, these guys have the fuel. They will most certainly have the fuel to get through multiple overtime attempts. Ethan Fonseca and everybody who's pitted earlier, they might have to stretch it or hope that that caution flag, if it does come out, is on the front side of those runs. As there's Maggio, he's going to slide it in. He spins entering pit road.
He's in trouble, but he gets in just enough time, Charlie. That was right in front of your purview.
Yeah, and that's a non-pit road penalty for Steven Maggio. He is safe, comes in sideways, and he's able to get that gathered up, and he will keep it straight for a pit stop. 4 fresh Goodyear tires upcoming for him. However, 1 position behind the leaders, Justin Rott has a pit road speeding penalty, cooked the tires too much on entry. He's going to have to serve that time in his pit stall and fall potentially outside of the top 15. That's a big hit for the driver of the number 07 there, guys.
Thank you, Charlie. A huge blow to Justin Rott's race. He had been running in the top 5 all night long. And how about the escape for Steven Maggio to avoid a pit road speeding penalty? Slid in at the right time, didn't hit any of the walls. It's a hard place to come down pit road here at Dover Motor Speedway. Maggio gets away without a problem. There's Moreno, first car to come off of the lead lap. And running 6th, trying to chase down Amir Bascombe. Just several seconds up the road, it's Michael Newbraw in the race lead, alongside Craig Parks, Mikey Neal, and Brandon Banks, some of those that have left to come in. Now Mikey Neal comes in. So Michael Newbraw and Craig Parks will stay out for the foreseeable future. Here the duo comes down pit road. Moreno should have the net race lead this time.
That means that in the race lead, once it gets cycled out at the start-finish line, should be the 27 of Amir Bascombe, as he actually will pit on the same lap. So that will put Ethan Fonseca Moreno out in front at the cross of the start-finish line, with Steven Maggio up into 2nd. And as it stands right now, the gap between those two is about 2.4 seconds. But remember, Maggio's pitted 5 laps later, so that's 5 laps fresher tires that Maggio has on his car compared to Moreno's. That's 5 laps of an advantage. He can just continue to run better lap times. And remember, Maggio was better in the long run anyway, so if he's able to cut into that deficit earlier into this run, it could put him in the proper spot to try and go aggressively after this win. 60 laps remain in this race, and he's already down to 1.5 seconds.
That's still a long way to go, Keelan. And coming down the sequence of pit road stops, CJ Munier had a meatball flag because his tire was starting to be on the last leg of its life. You're going to push 60-ish laps on a set of Goodyear Eagles. You're going to have to save at this juncture.
You are, and we talked about that. These guys trying to go as long as they can to get to the checkered flag here. If this thing were to run green, you are going to have to save those tires to the best of your ability. But like Francisco said, Steven's going to have that tire advantage right now. He's got some lap traffic. He's going to have to make it around, including a affiliated teammate with Ethan and Trevor Haley in that 4 car. So he's not going to be having guys really give him any favors here. Actually, Trevor Haley pretty much leaned over for him right there, so I'm wrong. But now 1 lap car in between these 2 guys, and if Steven can get a bit of clean air out that nose and use those basically brand new tires to his advantage in comparison to Ethan's about 5 laps older tires, that strategy could pay off for him of running long a little bit.
The gap at 0.8 of a second, the gap in lap time about 1/10 in favor of Maggio. And it continues to crunch down. The Stanley Toyota Camry is on a mission to try and tame the monster for the first time in his 4-wide career, while Moreno tries to hold on for his 4th straight, Charlie.
And just a driver update for all the drivers who pit on that under the green flag pit stop sequence. All the drivers are on the same strategy, at least the drivers all on the lead lap, but I do have some penalties to go over. Brandon Bakes, AJ Green, CJ Munier all got pit road speeding penalties. They were all 1 or more laps down. And obviously Justin Rott, the biggest name off of that list, he is currently 1 lap down in the 20th position. 13 cars on the lead lap, and this is going to take us to the end of this race.
Thank you so much, Charlie. That gap continues to decrease for the race lead. They got by Nicholas Baumann, who's now a lap down on the racetrack. A hard hit for Baumann, who had been running in the top 10 almost the entirety of the night. He is that first car a lap down, so if a yellow comes out, it will put him back in the lucky dog spot to get that wave around to put him on the lead lap. There it is. The 2 leaders may tangle in the next few laps. As Moreno squeaks around Tyler Murray, the lap traffic, that's more lost time at the exit of 4. Maggio is within 3 car lengths to turn 1.
And we'll see how differently Maggio has to run these corners now, because he's been running faster, but he's also been wearing those tires, probably trying to catch up to Ethan and really make a number on that gap. But as he closes in, that dirty air starts to play a role, to him having to run a different line. You see a little bit of a slide off of 4. That's not going to help his tire advantage. It could possibly lead to it equaling out a little bit earlier than maybe he would like to. So we'll have to see how they go around these lap cars, which lines they choose, and how much are they able to effectively run these lines. See, Moreno will drift up high, trying to get the run on Bishop to set himself up for the next corner. He'll go to the inside there on the front stretch into turn 1, and Maggio will probably try to follow suit. And a great stat here that Keelan has provided with me is that Maggio finished 6th here last season with an average running position of 13.7, and Ethan, in the race where he finished 9th and crossed the line supposedly winning, with an average running position of 5.3. So these drivers pretty good here at Dover.
They're known to tackle this track with open arms. A lot of drivers intimidated by a venue at this level of prestige in NASCAR history, and one that is known to have the drivers wrestle their race car around the venue. It's inside a car length. Maggio is creeping up, and the lap traffic continues to congest at the front of Ethan Fonseca Moreno's Chevrolet. It's still 0.2 of a second back to turn 1 with 50 laps to go. Keelan, it's starting to get heavy here from Dover. Maggio's within a car length again.
Maggio, he is flying right now, trying to take advantage of those 5-lap pressure tires, and they're going to even out at some point, but the earlier you can get around him and get clean air as the race leader to your nose, the more of an advantage you will have, and the more laps that you spend behind Ethan here, running in his wake, running in his air, the less of an advantage your tires are going to be when you get up to that back bumper and have a shot to pull away. Randy Showers stays to the outside of Ethan, and that is going to slow him down and bring Steven that much closer right there, as Steven's going to try to find that clean air and find a way around him. But it is going to be tough with, look at that, no lap traffic out the nose of Ethan for a little bit now.
That's a tough place, Keelan, to get around lap traffic at the exit of a corner with that lapped car on the outside. You run the risk of them hitting the outside wall and coming back down into you. It lost Moreno a chunk of time, but then it evened out as soon as Moreno got back in clean air. Maggio continues to chase. Inside 47 laps to go. Maggio looking for his first 4-wide victory since Nashville Superspeedway, race 16 of season 7. Pushed his luck all the way to a Championship 5 appearance in which he was just a couple spots short of winning the title in his own good in his rookie season. And after what's been a struggle-filled early portion of Season 8, can Maggio right the ship and get back into a championship-poised spot? With the near 4 straight winner right in front of him, it's still 3/10 back to turn 1.
And this is just going to be about pressure. Can Ethan Fonseca hang on throughout this pressure over the next 45 laps? 45 laps here go by quickly, but it just feels so long because it's such a workhorse of a racetrack. You know Maggio has the advantage on you in terms of tire life, so you just have to keep yourself honest, be careful, and pick and choose your lines. Maggio will obviously try to find the clean air spots to try and take advantage of the 92. You see he gets another great run there, and Moreno's going to try to place his car wherever that 51s is to try and give him a little bit of a dirty air like that. You see right there, that was a good move for the 92 to try and halt the 90 or the 51, but Maggio gets a great run off the corner.
Here he goes to the inside for the lead. Maggio did this early in the first run and it worked out. Can it work out this time at the exit of 2? Moreno fights right back to stay clear of the Stanley Toyota back to turn 3, but Maggio's still there.
Steven may have to get a little physical here if he wants to race him. We saw it in a battle earlier with Amir Bascom and Blaine Snyder. We saw, I believe it was Snyder, really not able to make the pass complete on the bottom as we see Ethan get clear. And what he had to do was he had to kind of run a slide job and kind of be a little physical and door him up the racetrack down into the corner. Is that what Steven is going to have to do? He's going to try to race him as cleanly as he can for this win right now. But if he has to get a little physical, I don't think there's a man he'd rather be racing physical on the racetrack right now other than Ethan. We know there are differences off the track in the last several weeks, but now racing for the win here, racing each other with respect right now.
And Francisco, that high side is where Maggio made his money in the first run. It's starting to work again here in this last run.
And we haven't really seen Ethan really move off that bottom except for when he's diamonding the corner, so he doesn't have nearly as much of experience. You see him kind of throw a little bit of a mini block there as he got sideways off before, but he's doing his job right. He's able to place the car perfectly, and it's just not allowing for Steven to try to do anything too differently to go for that top spot. As long as he doesn't get that outside, it's going to be a difficult pass. We know Ethan is a fan of Sergio Perez, aka the Minister of Defense, and we've seen Ethan put on some defensive masterclasses. I've seen it up close and personal myself. We'll see what he's able to do here in the next 40 laps.
Remember back in Charlotte last season, one of those races that Moreno spoiled in the middle of the playoffs. Moreno had won that race on pure aggression and all of that defense as well. One of those drivers being Steven Maggio to play defense on, as well as his teammate Jaden Porter. And now he's got the fight of his life. Inside 40 to go, but look at the run by Maggio. He points to the inside of turn 1 with a chance at the lead. Moreno in the middle to play the defense. He has to whoa up in the center, but he holds on strong, and Maggio once again has to hit the reset button.
He is avoiding that physicality right now with 40 laps to go, just trying to get around him cleanly for now, but Moreno playing just enough defense on the top side of the racetrack to not allow Steven to get around him. But look at this, Steven all the way up nearly on the fence right here. And remember the keys from in the pace laps earlier in this race, find speed anywhere you can find it. That is what Steven Maggio is doing right now, going to the very top side of that racetrack to find speed and get that momentum off the corner. And look at this run. He carries down the straightaway, and it's all about getting that entry and trying to pull away, but Ethan is matching his entry down into the corner. But this looks like Steven's best look. If he can get that quarter panel on Ethan's rear quarter panel and drag him back down the straightaway, that would be in his favor, but he is being very conservative right now and leaving a lot of room in between these two race cars.
Moreno has held the keys to this joint the entire night from the pole sitting spot. And inside 40 to go, Maggio wants to give the keys away to himself and take it for his own right. He's within 0.2 of a second, but another squandered attempt at the inside for the lead. Leaves him all the way back a couple tenths. And all the way at the back, 4 seconds clear of these leaders. Behind them is Lawson Peel, who's prepping up for one of his best runs of the season alongside Kentucky. And Michael Wall's right behind running 4th, and Andretti Robinson in his second start, lining up the top 5. It has been a stellar night for all of these cars. For Walls, a chance to turn his season around midway For Craig Lounslauger and Mikey Neal, Francisco, 2 comeback stories from crashing early on in this race to fresh race cars with top 10 position in hand.
Great recovery for Mikey Neal. Obviously, it was not the intended run he was hoping to have at the start of the night. After starting on the front row, was hoping to be up front for most of the evening, but after falling to the back, after being involved in that first incident, it's been a great job for him to recover so far up into this top 10 to continue another solid points day for that number 8 machine on his birthday, celebrating 24 years old. But these two, they're trying to see if they can celebrate a win tonight. Moreno, you see him, he's drifted now up to that 3rd lane, and you can tell that Maggio is still faster, but with the dirty air and Moreno placing his car at the right place at the right time, it is really hurting Steven Maggio's chances here with just over 30 laps to go.
It may be Mikey Neal's birthday, but his teammate is looking to take the celebrations here from Monster Mile. Moreno holds on to the lead. He pokes from the high side this time and won. That's where Maggio has found his attack, but he's yet to complete the task. He's been able to stay to the inside. He hasn't been able to clear on the back straightaway. He's got his nose in again off of turn 3. Moreno using the middle lane to force the 51 as low as possible to forbid the car from getting any of the accelerator in, but Maggio keeps his foot in it. He's still to the inside in turn 1. 30 laps to go.
It does seem like Francisco said in the chat a second ago, Ethan has the edge in 1 and 2, but Steven looks better in 3 and 4. So that is what Steven has to do. I think he just found his way to get around him right there. He's got to stay close enough off turn 2 to stay side by side going into 3 and 4 on one of these laps. If he can be side by side entering 3 and 4, he may be able to slide that car up in front of Ethan to clear him. But it's going to take a good corner here in 1 and 2. Ethan is just slightly better than him on that end of the racetrack and making up a little bit of time on Steven in that corner. So Steven's got to find a way to equal the 92 or the 92 to make a mistake, slip up, open the door. But right now, these two, they are racing so well against each other right now. We have seen little mistakes out of either of them, and that is what makes these two so good on the iRacing simulator here. You push that guy in front of you, and when neither of you make a mistake, you never know what can happen out there on the racetrack. These guys racing really hard. Now 5 seconds in front of the 3rd place car.
But in the mindset of Maggio, Francisco, do you start looking for the high lane attack? Because each and every time Maggio has tried to the inside, it's been the same defensive approach from Moreno. Pinch him down, make him use the right front tire. And at this moment in the run, with under 30 laps to go, Maggio is starting to feel the effects of that right front tire skipping away.
Well, I would say Ethan's defense is probably the best strategy to do in that scenario, is force him to go to the bottom, force him to turn the wheel a little bit more to get that pass done. And Ethan did a great job even when he was in unfavorable spots to hang on and keep the car on the outside, because there's eventually going to be a time where he was going to get clear once again for the spot. But Maggio couldn't really get to the outside of Moreno, and that was the whole problem with Moreno able defending on the straightaways by staying up high. It forced Maggio to, if he wanted to use the high side, he was never going to get physically to the outside of the 92. So it's either take the bottom or sit patiently and count the laps down. And I think Maggio took his chances on the bottom, but you can see he's lost a little bit of ground now. So I think maybe he used up his stuff, or he's saving for one last push inside of 20 to go.
Well, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, Moreno had the high ground and still does in the race lead with 25 to go. Here's a nice battle inside the top 10. Mikey Neal and Craig Lounslauger going at it. We mentioned the comeback stories for both of these machines. Mikey Neal just poking to the inside of the 13 car, looking for an entryway in for what would be a 6th place finish for the Carolina Hurricane Chevrolet, as the Hurricanes are already in full season form for the NHL season. And looking on the back end of Lounslauger, maybe using Daniel Moore as a potential pick to get around. These cars have been rather close to each other. Here comes Neal from the high groove in turn 3. And a chance to take the spot away, but now the pick in the favor of Lounslauger to the inside in turn 4. And Neal has to reset again. Great run off the final corner. How about 3 wide to turn 1?
3 wide at Dover is going to be very interesting. There's a little bit of contact between the 13 and the 77. Daniel Moore hangs on to the spot there as he keeps it off the outside wall. Jorgensmeyer will go by for that spot. And oh boy, this is not something that Ethan at the very least wants to see. I'm pretty sure everybody else in the field would not mind seeing a caution flag occur there. You see Newfall tap the outside wall a little bit further back as well. as Mikey Neal's recovery efforts up to 6 go on. And how about Juan Escamilla, who started outside the top 25 in tonight's race with very few yellow flag laps? He's up into the top 10. What a year it's been for Juan Escamilla.
And this is only the second time in which he's come up from beneath 20th place to a top 20 finish. Last time he did that was the first race of the year, Daytona, 28th to an 18th place run, and several top 10s to his credit. His last start was a top 3, his best career 4-wide finish on an oval. He had a best career run of 3rd at Watkins Glen last season, but could not match it or best it on the oval side of things for Juan Escamilla. This is a great run tonight, and overall for the Dark Horse Racing team, they've got another one of their teammates stepping into top 10 points position very late in the goings. I'm sure they're very proud of Escamilla's run, much like Bauman in his second full-time 4-wide racing TJ's team season, and many cars he can catch up after that little squabble between Lautenslager and Daniel Moore opened the door for Jurgensmeyer and for Escamilla to squeeze on by, make some moves of their own inside the top 6. With 20 to go, the battle for the lead has opened up 0.6 of a second between Maggio and Moreno. That seems to indicate to me, Keelan, that's the right front tire gone for the 51 of Maggio. However, this race can still turn around on its head. We saw overtime after a long green flag run at Pocono last week. For Moreno, he's still hitting the wall. It's not like his tires are much better than Maggio's at this juncture of the race. He's just had more of the clean air, but any mistake from this WeatherTech car could open that door again, reignite the battle, and give us a good show in the final stretch.
Yeah, remember Stevens' advantage when he pit a little bit later. He had those 5-lap pressure tires, and his biggest advantage then would be the opening laps after his pit stop up until they evened out, and they may have gotten to a point of evening out at this point. That's why it would have been so important for Maggio to get around Moreno as fast as he could, but Moreno, he's done everything right. When Maggio has got a run to race him, he has been able to play that defense like we see in the real life side of things. You know, we've seen it at this very racetrack with Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson. You can be that faster car in second, but it is so much harder for you to make a run and make a pass at it if that guy who is leading the race is good at defense. And somebody who's very good at defense is Ethan Fonseca Moreno, and as he's trying to convert this into his 6th win of the year already in the first 10 races, he looks like to be in a good spot right now, barring any cautions to shake this thing up.
Well, when Season 7 came to a close, there was still a question mark as to whether 4-wide would continue for an 8th season. It did for Tyler Murray, Kyle Benson, and the entire admin team. All the props to them for putting this season together. One of the biggest question marks given to the field on the survey off-season was, do we change the car? Do we end up with a situation where we don't run the next-gen car for another season? And that was after plenty of conversation in the fallout of the next-gen update, what it had changed physically to the race car, how it had changed the driving aerodynamically. Tyler Murray and the league admins on a random night said, we're going to stick with the next-gen car. We are playing to our strengths after what was a great Season 7. That's a demonstration of what this next-gen car has done after the update. Dirty air, almost impossible to get around. A car on the inside cannot make a move here at Dover when the dirty air is that bad and when the car does not rotate with old sets of Goodyear Eagles. With 13 laps to go, it's Moreno's race to lose. With Maggio 0.6 of a second behind, they just got around Alex Schumacher. Now the nearest car to go a lap down. He will be the lucky dog if we get a yellow. And Francisco, it's top 10 that are on the lead lap. Blaine Snyder, who came down pit road rather early on in the last green flag pit stop stretch. He's 17.5 seconds back. He is the next car at mercy of being put a lap behind.
Such as the pace has been by Ethan and Steven tonight, they're 5 seconds clear of Lawson Hill, who sits in the 3rd spot, trying to hold off Michael Walls in that battle for the podium position, but they're almost going to catch up and lap into the top 10, and it's not like that's been an easy feat or anything. We started with 30 cars here tonight, and you look at everybody in this field, you got cars that sit just outside the top 20, multiple laps down, and on the racetrack, not really damaged. It's just been the fall off as there's Daniel Moore into the lane. And that is really going to see how these last couple of laps shake out here with the different battles on the racetrack. At least at the front right now, Moreno definitely looks like he has a stranglehold over this field, approaching 10 to go. But this battle for P3 is going to be the one to watch late in the going. And remember, Peel was involved in an incident with roughly this many laps to go, battling for a spot like 3rd or 4th. before that yellow flag came out.
And then Michael Walls chasing down, looking for his best 4-wide finish this season since the 3rd race of the campaign. It's been a little while since we've seen Michael Walls run in the top 10, let alone have no bad luck come his way. It's been a pretty clean night for the Kroger Ford Mustang. He chases down Peel, still a tenth slower, but trying his best to have his tires survive inside the final 10 laps. One last pit report from Charlie Beyer in the pit lane.
Yeah, and just under 10 laps to go. The tires for all the leaders and everyone on the lead lap should take us to the end of this race, so no need to worry about them. Just a few drivers who may have pit before the lap 130 mark are coming down to get just a splash of fuel to the end of this race, or perhaps they were just sick of their tires. They want to get a change to run a few fast laps towards the end. Christopher Bishop, Randy Showers, and Daniel Moore are all more than 1 lap down. They get their final pit stop of the night, and we'll take you guys home from here.
Thank you, Charlie, for all the storylines on pit road. Know you had to work hard throughout the green flag stops. Lots of drivers coming in at various points in the race. Some of them pit road speeding penalties. One of those hitting Justin Rott in his first full-time 4-wide season, although he hasn't shown up for many a race in 2025. He's back in 18th a lap down. There he is getting around Tyler Murray. That will be 4th position. So the Body Armor Chevrolet moves up to 18th on the racetrack. Got around Trevor Haley as well, and chasing down Michael Newbraw. A tough luck situation for Justin Rott, who made his first start last season, I believe, at Pocono Raceway. It's been a little while since we've seen Rott make his first start in 4-wide action. So he'll try to recover for at least a top 15, but going to be wishing for better numbers inside the final 6 laps. As the gap has extended once more, Francisco, 1.9 seconds and counting. Maggio is falling off the cliff. Moreno is stabilizing at 24.4 second lap times, and he's got 5 laps to go until his 4th consecutive 4-wide dub.
And Maggio in the process has kind of lost a little bit of time, maybe gotten some kind of right front damage on his car, trying to push to stay with this 92. But so far, just no dice for him. Moreno leads with 5 laps to go.
Just a dominating performance all night long from this WeatherTech Chevrolet. Trying to make history in 2 different fronts tonight. Trying to be the first ever driver to win a Dover race from the pole. And of course, that magnificent feat of trying to get 4 race victories in a row. Something that has never been done before in series history. And he's 3.5 laps away from that glory and another dub in 2025. How about this battle for 4th? Andretti Robinson finding some life late in this run. Keelan starting to pick up on Michael Walls.
Our Daytona winner, Michael Walls, qualified for the playoffs. Andretti Robinson finished 2nd last week at Pocono. Highest he's been today is the 4th position, and he's trying to finish in that position here. 3 laps to go, trying to run down Michael Walls. Looks just a bit faster. Michael Walls gonna... Can't really watch the film right now of what Ethan has done to play defense now, as Ethan closes in on 2 laps to go here. Andretti looking to the outside there. We'll see if he's able to get the pass, but it is Ethan out front who has played defense perfectly today, and if he can make it back to the white, this race is all his. He listened to the keys today, Kenneth. That's all you can do to win these races. I need to tell him to do it more often, but we knew track position was going to be an advantage today, and you know, Steven may have had the faster car, but Ethan had been able to put his car in the track position at every stage of the race after pit stops and after restarts, and now he's got 1 lap to bring it home.
Half a lap to go when he gets to the back straightaway, and it's been an unprecedented season. After Moreno made several starts in Season 7 but couldn't go at it for a championship, he's prized in championship form right now, and he steps into history. A 4th straight victory for Moreno comes at Dover.
Unbelievable. Brand new record that we have never seen in the history of 4-wide. A 4th consecutive victory. Only 3 times has a driver ever won 3 in a row. And Moreno was the first one that's able to extend that number to 4, capturing the win at Dover, and this time he'll get to keep it. As Jaden Porter gave him the congratulations there, finishing a couple laps down after his early troubles on the initial start. There's Micah coming in to give him a tap as well. What a run this 92 is on. We talk about Sanity, we've talked about all these legacy performance runs. It's still the regular season, Kenneth, but still the kind of form that Ethan Fonseca Moreno is on right now, it is nothing like we've ever seen in races that we have covered. And we have covered a lot of different leagues, a lot of different series over time. But right now, what he is doing, it is incredible.
It's flat out dominance, and it's another checkered flag. 5th of the season for Ethan Fonseca Moreno, and makes history on 4 different fronts tonight, now that we call it. A 13th career dub, ties him with Brandon Hawken on the all-time wins list for 2nd. He's the first driver in 4-wide history to win Dover from the pole position. He wins his 4th race in a row, something never been done before. And he's on top once again after beating Steven Maggio in the final few laps. Ethan Fonseca Moreno steps into Paul's setup shop, victory lane. Well, he's grown familiar with that place over the last few races of this season. He's been on fire. And now he'll do something that Brandon Hawken didn't do last season. Guys, he's going to try victory lane. Remember, you can go into victory lane here at Dover on iRacing. This is one of the few tracks that you can do it. There's the checkerboard on the middle of the pit lane. He'll try to go in. And there he goes. Ethan Fonseca Moreno going to celebrate his 4th straight victory and 5th of Season 8.
Hopefully he doesn't run over any spectators in victory lane this time. It looks like doesn't look like there's anybody to run over, so this time nobody is at risk.
So there he is. When Moreno did it at Bristol, he ran over a couple virtual fans. There's no one there on the floor for victory lane here at Dover Motor Speedway. That's where Moreno will plant his Chevrolet, and that's where he will celebrate once again a victory in this 4-wide racing TJ's Team Series. It has been wonderful tonight to see the runs build up over the long green flag stretch, and then to see the inevitable domination and that battle in the final few laps. It is Ethan Fonseca Moreno with the dub over Steven Maggio back in 2nd. His best finish of Season 8 comes tonight from the Monster Mile. Lawson Keel gets his 2nd podium effort in 2025 with a 3rd tonight. Michael Wallace, his best finish since the 3rd race of this season. He'll end up in 4th. Andretti Robinson backs up his 2nd place finish in his 1st ever start with a 5th place finish in his 2nd ever start. May have some eyeballs on Andretti Robinson, what he can do for the rest of this 4-wide season. Mikey Neal runs in P6 after a great comeback from spinning on the opening lap from the outside of the front row. Mikey Neal grabs the top 10. Craig Lauenslager does as well. Recovery effort for 7th. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, quiet but effective all night long for 8th place. Juan Escamilla grabs another top 10. And Blaine Snyder, the rookie, wrestles top 10 here from Dover after a hard-fought race.
11th will go to Nicholas Bauman, who ran in the top 10, but that late pit road trouble or the late spin on the front straightaway going to take him out of the top 10 contention. Alexander Schumacher, a quiet day for him, will finish in the 12th spot. Craig Parks recovers nicely up into the 13th position. Justin Rott, who looked like he had a solid run early, speeding on pit lane, took him out of a top 5 position. He'll finish 14th. Tristan Bailey will finish 15th after his troubles at the Pocono Raceway. Michael Newberall finished in the 16th spot. Amir Bascom had speed early. He'll finish 17th. Brandon Banks will finish 2 laps down in the 18th spot. Daniel Moore with the late scare will finish in the 19th spot. And Trevor Haley will round out your top 23 laps down, Keelan.
Back in 21st is CJ Munier. He finishes back 4 laps down. Randy Showers tried a bit of an alternate strategy there towards the end. He finishes in 22nd. Christopher Bishop finishes 23rd. 5 down. Jaden Porter at one of his best racetracks, unfortunately, got that race-ending damage as far as competitive-wise on the opening start. He finishes 24th. Tyler Murray finishes in 25th. He got a speeding penalty at the very end of this race that will unfortunately take some positions off of his finish. AJ Green finishes on 26th. Chris Fowler, 27th. Timothy Cook, Brandon Gillis, and Connor Chafari round out the field. So it doesn't look like we had any DNFs due to race damage. So everybody getting to the end of this one in an attrition-filled afternoon.
And there's Moreno in Paul's setup shop victory lane, in Dover victory lane, and that's where he will join us now. A 4th straight victory, Ethan. You are in rarefied 4-wide air. You are tied for 2nd on the all-time wins list after tonight, and you're the only driver in series history to ever win 4 consecutive races in a season. How does that feel, and how amazing does it feel to be in the history books in this way tonight from Dover?
It feels amazing. I mean, every win feels amazing, honestly. Winning doesn't get old, but I had to work for this one tonight. Me and Steven were on each other's tail end like the whole entire race. It just came down to whoever had the lead and whoever could hold on to the lead. So good race by him. We raced each other pretty clean, so yeah, shout out to him on that. And dang, I mean, I don't know if this is one of those races where I had to work harder, but I mean, for sure, my wrists are cramped and all that, so this was definitely tougher in terms of like physicality and all that. So yeah, definitely had to work for this one. I like when those kind of wins come.
This is your first start at Dover in 4 wide since that faded Season 6 race. I know those memories probably still in the back of your head when you thought you won, then race control said it wasn't the win because of an earlier situation, your teammate Jaden Porter capturing the credit for that dub, and how that changed the course of your championship effort, even though you were still able to hoist the title at the end. Making your return to Dover in dominating fashion, 172 laps led, and a dub in this way, does this one feel like the proper comeback? Is the vengeance there?
I would be honest, I was not even thinking about that until Jaden had mentioned it pre-race, and then I was like thinking, like, I gotta win this, but now I can hold this over Jaden's head that I can actually keep this one. I mean, I did beat Jaden the other time on track as well. Got to the line first, so that should count. But oh well. I mean, it didn't matter. I won the championship that year, but yeah, definitely nice to get that one back because this is definitely one of my better tracks here, and I always love winning here. So nice to get this one.
On top of the 4 wide rolled, and right now, no signs of stopping. Ethan, who do you got to thank for a performance like this and your 4th consecutive 4 wide win?
Yeah, BBR for bringing amazing cars every single week. It sucks that Jaden cannot perform with them, so he just goes multiple laps down. What's it called? Shout out to Mr. ADG, Austin Doran, for designing this paint scheme. This was kind of pretty close to it was done yesterday, so I didn't plan on running this, but when they made it, I was like, I have to run it. It looks so cool. So shout out to him on that. You guys put on a good broadcast, and Steven as well for making this difficult on me tonight.
Clean race, you end up out in front, your 4th consecutive dub, 5th of the season. You match your championship total from Season 6, and the momentum just keeps on rolling, Ethan. Congratulations on the win here from the Monster Mile. You've got to tame it, this time for good, without any race control inflictions on it. And congratulations on the dub. We'll see you in the field next week at Talladega.
Sir.
Ethan Fonseca Moreno ends up with the race victory. It's 5 so far this season. It's been unbelievable to see how he's been able to handle each race week in and week out. And in a week in which we thought maybe there could have been a challenger to take Moreno off of his pedestal, he continues to show us that he's the driver to beat here in Season 8. We'll toss to second place Keelan Belshaw. It's Steven Maggio, gave it his all, and it's his best finish of Season 8 so far.
Yeah, down here with Steven Maggio in a 51 with a second place finish tonight, and I sent a picture because this track mimicked the battle between Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin here at this racetrack, so much like it. These cars super realistic to the ones we race in real life. So, Steven, a good second place finish for you today. What more do you think you could have done different, if anything? It felt like you may have had the edge on them on speed all night long. It was just hard to make that pass. So, what more do you think you needed?
I mean, I passed them the first run. I didn't mean to. I don't know. I haven't really gotten to look at it yet because I forgot. But I washed up a little bit more than I meant to, and I was just worried because if you clear up in this car currently, it's like I could have driven in a little harder and like cleared up, but then you can air packed like crazy on exit, and like you're doing it to yourself, so you have to be really careful with that. So I was trying to like come up but not air pack myself, and I put us both in a bad spot there. But then I lost the lead on pit road anyway, so I mean at that point I fell to third and I got back to second, but it felt tighter, and then it felt all right after that. But then I mean Ethan's just really good at, I mean his MO is just he runs as fast as he has to without getting passed, makes second place burn up his stuff, and then he pulls away at the end. And I knew that, and I was trying to save, but there's really only so much you can do in the dirty air. And I was running a different line for most of the race than him, just to avoid that dirty air. And yeah, I pit 5 laps later, and I really thought that I was gonna be able to do something with that tire advantage because he didn't come out nearly as far ahead as I thought he was going to. And I caught him, and I still couldn't get it done. I don't know. my two options were save and then try to do it at the end, or just go then. And I figured if I sat behind him in dirty air for 30 laps, so I was going to lose my tire advantage anyway. So I just tried to push and just couldn't get it. It's too hard to pass.
Yeah, one of those races you'll watch film about for sure, as it was a solid run for you. But what does this mean to actually get a finish here in 4 wide? It's felt like all the races you've run so far this season have had either something go wrong, your fault, not your fault, or just circumstantial things that have happened. But from a championship 5 appearance last year to the kind of sophomore slump you kind of started the season on, what does it mean to get a second place finish here tonight as far as momentum and looking forward to the rest of the season?
Yeah, it's definitely good. I honestly, I think I can point my way into the playoffs fine. Not fine, but it's definitely doable. And obviously, I want to just get a win and not even have to worry about it. But it is nice to get a good run. And I mean, honestly, it was a great race after we got the initial issues out of the way. I mean, we ended that run with, well, I don't know, it was like a 150 lap run to the end. It was really fun. So, yeah, and it was fun to battle Ethan. I tried to race him clean. I felt like we both raced really clean, and just couldn't get it done.
Well, regardless, a good second place finish for you tonight and good momentum for this rest of this regular season as we get closer to a winter break and kind of getting a reset going on. Next week will be Talladega, so that'll be fun. I'll see you on the racetracks. We'll see how that one goes. We worked together pretty well last season in that Talladega race, so I may have to hit you up and see what you're thinking to try and get a good finish in that one. But a second place finish for you tonight, Steven. Who do you want to thank for making that possible?
Yeah, shout out you guys in the booth. You always do a really good job, and I'm sure, hopefully, it was a fun battle to watch. I thought it was. I mean, I felt like we put on a show there. And shout out Teamer for hosting the race and running the league, and um, shout out my teammates, Steven Maggio and Steven Maggio, and my team owner, Steven Maggio. And Aladam Contreras made this paint scheme, and he lets me put my 51 on it. So shout out to him, and that's about it.
We appreciate you running with us tonight, Steven, and a good second place finish for you. We'll look forward to seeing you next time we're here live on the KBueno Racing Network.
Thank you. Have a good one. God bless.
Steven Maggio with a second place finish here at Dover Motor Speedway. His best again of season 8. It's been an early season struggle, and the same could be said for Lawson Peel Francisco, but over the last few weeks, he has been back in his form. Peel captures third tonight from the Monster Mile.
Well, Lawson, it was a struggle to start the season, but over the past month or so, it's been a bit better of performances. You had the second place at Kentucky. You got the third place here tonight. What has been the turnaround for this number 12 machine over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I was in position to finish really well last week at Pocono. I felt like I was going to win the race, honestly. And yeah, that late race caution just kind of like I got into you and killed us both there. So I really hated that happen. So I had a good finish, kind of locked up last week, and it just slipped right through. And so I was just thinking I just needed to hold on to this one tonight. So really happy with third. It was better than I thought I was going to do. This obviously isn't one of my best tracks. So I felt like I was going to be like somewhere between 5th and 10th, and just kind of ran better. Obviously, like Keelan was saying, we didn't even get to the start finish line before I had damage, and qualified pretty well and just immediately had to go to the back. So it was kind of just a little bit of a continuation of the bad luck. And I was thinking, I'm back here now and might get wrecked back here or just get stuck and not be able to recover. But thankfully, just it was a long race, obviously, and throughout the race was just able to claw back to the front, which that was kind of fun. Had a good time racing with Micah and Andretti there, and just felt like I maximized what I could have done. Third was obviously about as good as I was going to do there. And, like Jaden got wrecked. He definitely would have beat me. This and Nashville are like his 2 best tracks. So, I pretty much feel like I maximized my night for the most part. I just needed a good points night. So happy to bring that home.
And the other thing, Lawson, is that at least in previous seasons, we normally see you jump out and get multiple wins to start the season. So 4 through 10, it hasn't been a trip to victory lane quite yet. So for a driver who's used to having it go one way and all of a sudden one season it's maybe not exactly going your way, what are some of the mental things that you try to do to keep yourself focused on trying to capture that win, but also not let it get to you and continue to put in these good results?
Yeah, so that, the slow to start the season thing it's not new. I mean, I've had it happen multiple times, like in the old Sunoco Cup Series League, and I remember multiple seasons where, but normally by about week 6, I kind of shake it off and get back to normal. But yeah, it's just been prolonged on into the middle of the season, and so I'd like to get rid of the bad juju and turn it around as soon as I can. But I haven't been like running terrible. Like, I'm just looking at the schedule here. Like at Daytona, I tried to send it up the middle and caused a wreck and finish last, and that was my fault. At Richmond, I was 4th on a green white checkered, and Juan Escamilla was 2nd in front of me, and he got stuck in first gear, and finished last there. Indy, I I wrecked it with like 3 to go in that one too. I think I slammed the wall and caused that. So like I just, Benson at Montreal on lap 3, me and him, it's just thing after thing after thing going down this schedule where most of it is just a lot of it's my doing. So I just got to clean it up a little bit. I'm just not as comfortable in this post update package. But it's coming around. Obviously, like tonight, that's a little bit of a confidence booster for me. Just um, kind of finishing the best of the rest there behind Ethan and Maggio, because they're both running really well right now and just seem to have it figured out. So it was about what I expected. I knew they were going to be really fast.
And coming up on the next couple of races in the schedule, Lawson, it now starts to go into that kind of slower time in the schedule. We have Talladega next week, but then we have the off week for Thanksgiving. Then we get another off week for the build after the Chicagoland race before the All-Star event. Then we get 2 off weeks for the end of the year festivities with Christmas and New Year's. So what's it going to be like for you trying to keep the focus, even though that there's going to be multiple off weeks sprinkled in between each of the following 4 or 5 races before we finally get back into a swing of things mid-January?
Yeah. I'm not, I mean, the off weeks kind of, I don't know. They are what they are. I feel like I just need to win a race at some point. And I felt like I, played Pocono last week. That was a really good golden opportunity where, I felt like I was going to win the race, and I had to race Maggio like a dick and just really get physical to get that position, because I didn't feel like the 2 in front of us could make it on fuel, and I thought I had it, and I was going to kind of break through and lock in the playoffs, and just that normally that first win of the season just kind of, like you're saying, it kind of turns it around for me, and I can kind of get some momentum going. So if I could find that, that would be nice. I'm just gonna have to find somewhere where I can beat Ethan. It's obviously somewhere like Dover. I'm not gonna be able to do it, but Talladega and Chicagoland, Homestead's an all-star race. But there's a few I can maybe get it done. But like I've said before, some of these tracks I'm confident at, and some of them I'm just not. Like I see Iowa down there. Like, goodness gracious, I'm dreading that one. So we'll just have to do the best we can, and hopefully get a win, and just manage manage your weeks that aren't so good. Just kind of like tonight. Get a good finish out of a mediocre night. So if we can keep doing that and get a win, I think we'll be good.
And before we let you go from this podium finish here tonight from the Dover Motor Speedway, Lawson, anybody want to give a shout out to that helps makes this happen for everybody on that 12 team?
Yeah, thanks to all you guys up in the booth. Appreciate it. Good to hadn't got to talk to you guys as much this year, so good to talk to you guys. And thanks to Tyler and Benson, Murray, Bishop, Greg, Lodslogger, all the admin team. Thanks to TJ's team for sponsoring the league. Really appreciate them for what they do for us, and all my DBR teammates, Paul's Setup Shop.
Well, appreciate the time you take with us, Lawson, of participating every week, and congratulations on the podium effort. We'll see you out next week at Talladega. I'll be mailing the bill for you on Kenneth's behalf in a little bit.
And I'm sorry about last week, man. That wasn't ideal. So
all good, Lawson. It's all
right.
fun.
See you guys later.
That's Lawson Peel finishing third here at Bristol Motor Speedway. We saw him finish on the podium at Kentucky Speedway earlier this season. Maybe that was kind of on purpose, Francisco, that we paired you with Peel for the third place interview because of last week.
I mean, I was joking about something else. I think he thought about the accident. I was telling him I was mailing him the bill over the word he chose on that last question. It's a streak we've got going on here this season.
Hey, 4-wide driver, try not to curse on the KBueno Racing Network challenge is still impossible for some reason.
We may have to go PG-13.
We may have to start feeding them fines. They may have to start paying us to elevate our broadcast quality for all of the cursing that we've had. But in all seriousness, obviously the emotions high for Lawson Peel, a season that has been kind of unpredictable on his end for a driver that's usually at the top of the standings, someone usually winning races by this point of the year. Possibly a little bit frustrating, but also a bit relieved to see this finish come his way. A third place tonight from the Monster Mile behind the second place finisher, Steven Maggio, and then, of course, the race winner for the fourth consecutive time, Ethan Fonseca Moreno. So only several races to go until the regular season comes to the midway point, and then we go all-star racing at South Florida at the virtual Homestead of Miami Speedway. It's Talladega and Chicagoland, a 2.66-mile super speedway and a 1.52-mile circular round oval, Francisco. 2 more to go, and then we get our first break. There is going to be a week in between that. Thanksgiving will give the drivers off time, of course, since Thursday is going to be the day right after what would have been a 4-wide race. We're going to give that time off, but it's going to be a lot of time separating the Thanksgiving break, then the Christmas break, and then heading into New Year's until we finally go regular season racing again, January 7th at Texas. This is going to be the point where if you're not sharpening the iron, it's going to get tough and very rusty very quickly.
Yeah, this is where momentum can absolutely be either made or destroyed, and certainly more so destroyed with just break after break after break. Rightfully so, of course. We got the holiday season coming up. We got that build on December 10th, which is why we wouldn't be racing on that particular week. But I will be in the booth at Talladega. I'll be going over to the Miami Heat and Golden State Warriors game. Hopefully this time Steph Curry won't miss that game. And I won't be back into the booth until Chicagoland. So it's got to be a while before you see me back in the booth for that race, a track we hope to be going to the races at next year. And then at the Homestead Miami Speedway for All-Star Racing, we definitely have some fun plans that I won't elaborate here while we're still on air, but we'll be excited to hopefully turn those into proper fruitions when we show up to the race there. And then we end up back here in January for Texas Motor Speedway to start the 2026 portion of our schedule with the second half of the regular season and the countdown towards the playoffs. So this is that middle season lull where you won't see us every week, but we will be there sprinkled in until we get to the other side of the new year.
For those watching, Francisco is kind of mentioning me running the All-Star race, which is still up in the air, by the way. We may have drivers on the broadcast as well, like we did last season when Lawson Peel, Jaden Porter, and Kyle Benson gave us a show for the All-Star Open. Maybe we'll try and do that again, have some fun when the All-Star race happens at Homestead Miami Speedway in mid-December. But you're right, momentum can be shifted at any moment of the year, and at this point where Moreno seems to be on top of the 4-wide world Keelan and hasn't shown any signs of stopping, this break maybe could be that change of momentum that Moreno has that everyone else needs to be able to win a couple more races and take him off his pedestal for right now.
Yeah, it's a little reset period for everybody because everybody kind of got thrown into this season where it was straight into competitiveness after this build. They didn't really get a month off and an exhibition race to kind of get everything and all their ducks in a row. So now these people are going to have a little bit of about a month's time before we get to Texas to get ready to go racing. Any updates that could have been updated and try to set their sights forward on taking down the 92.
All eyes on Moreno as we enter the Thanksgiving break. Talladega and Chicagoland left until we are officially halfway through the 4-wide regular season in search of a champion to crown. Right now, it's this man with a 6th race victory this season and a historic 4th in a row. Moreno celebrates after another dominating effort, this time from the Monster Mile and his first official win at this 1-mile track. For Tyler Murray and the entire admin council that makes 4-wide go around every single week, we appreciate all the hard work they put there. And on behalf of all of the wonderful people a part of the KBueno Racing Network, for Nate Polite, Eli Comerford, and for my crew alongside me on the broadcast tonight, For Charlie Beyer, our pit reporter, and for my colleagues in the booth, Francisco Bacallao and Keelan Belsha, I am Kenneth Bueno saying so long from the Monster Mile, where it's Ethan Fonseca Moreno on a historic 4th win in a row, taking the field to Talladega with a chance at 5 straight.